The Out There channel.
Please sub and share.
Searching for the truth. UFOs, aliens, greys and ufology. Real images, real stories, real videos, real cases, researched and investigated by professionals in the field and cutting-edge discoveries. Multiple witnesses, abduction accounts brought to you by Team The Out There channel. Good to be back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Okay, give me some CPU. Yo. Just hang on. I've got a few adjustments here. Things never always go to plan. Wish I had better eyes. I just want to adjust the loudness to my headset. So which one's the headset? Should be that one there. It's not even blinking, is it? Playback headset. Levels. It's on maximum. Let me just see. Hello. Not seems to be changing it. Hello. That is weird. Okay, what am I missing? Doesn't make sense. Hello. Voice meter. I'll tell you what, Windows gets more strange as time goes on. That makes no sense whatsoever. Yet, I bet that's working. Hello. No. It's almost like something's got screwed up again. Hello. That makes no sense. Okay, we've got some indications there. I don't know. I just get fed up with Windows screwing up all the time. Let's have a look. Mixer. Hello. That's my mic. No, it has to be there. Oh well, F it. Stuff it all. I just have to blast my ears off. That makes no sense. Who we got? Gabba. Yeah, sorry about this. I thought these headsets had a adjuster on it. I think they've got a button. Here we go. It might be done through the will. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Yeah, there we go. Hello, hello. So it must have got knocked on the headset. Well, that's a very stiff will. Oh yeah, as long as I know it's there. And I think there's a microphone mute button here too. Oh yeah, there is. I forgot about that. That must be why it got louder and louder. Because it was giving me a headache last time. And I wasn't too well, remember. Anyway, I think we got it sorted out there. But that doesn't make any sense why these levels are not shown on Windows. It just shows Windows 10's not the best when it comes to audio drivers. Anyway, better minimize that. So remind me, there's a button on the side of my headset next time. Although it's digital, it's using USB. You can adjust the microphone and volume on your headset. That's kind of crazy. So many points where it can go wrong, of course. Anyway, I got a heap to go over today. It'll be interesting to see if we can get through it. So let's open up that. Chat, yo. Is that working? So many things you have to do. We can hear you. Yeah, you can hear me, but it's blasting into my headset, which I can't. You know, when I listen to stuff or listen to other people on microphone, it just rattles your eardrums to bits. And end up with ringing in the ear if I'm not careful. Because I have got ringing, but I noticed it's been getting worse since I've been doing the live shows. Especially Gabba Beast TV that gets very excited and starts talking louder and louder. Or he moves his mic closer or something. I don't know what you do, Gabba, but you were quite excitable last time and getting louder. But anyway, so last night I've been talking to the Sightons, the 18-wheeler. He's got another triangle UFO that I've been looking at last night. He only got a picture of it, but it's not a triangle. There's a straight line of brightness, and then there's a small dark patch underneath it. And I said, oh, that looks like a gang flock of birds. He said, no, it wasn't. He said, we've actually drawn a picture of what I saw. Basically, it was a black triangle with this invisible large craft structure around it. So when you see a triangle in the sky, that's not the whole craft, apparently. The other is transparent. And I said, oh, right, so this was passing you by, so it's, you might be seeing the edge where the engines are, and that might explain why it looks a wee bit like a gappy, you know, a bit like Gabba's one with the gaps in the lights. It may have lights like a lightning type ion arrangement, but like what he saw. But anyway, he's agreed to come on voice next weekend, and we're going to go over it and look at some of the stuff that I've done. And you can have a look at the craft that he's drawn. And Blue Chicken, I think it is the one that rendered the model for him. Now, it kind of looks like a three-bladed boomerang from Australia, so maybe he's a Australian alien. So we'll be going over that, so that should be quite interesting. Chat with him next weekend, so stay tuned for that. Here we deal with real sky watchers and people that have had experiences, and we sort of try and break it down, what can be misidentified versus possible legit stuff. This sort of stuff would have thought would have been on MUFON, but maybe people have just given MUFON away now, and all the best stuff is they're not getting. Okay, Gabba, I do a 1 hour long video. It drives me nuts. Yeah. My audio is horrible. Yeah, there's a lot of settings and controls and all that sort of stuff. But I don't understand why it wasn't adjustable through Windows there, you know. I use a background program that always sets the volumes right for my microphone all the time. So if you accidentally adjust it, the background program will always set it back to ready for live shows, right? There's a little program I wrote using some freeware program that can talk to Windows. I have a live stream talking about it somewhere. Might be worth checking it out. You can also set the volume going to your headset. But normally I left that open because everybody has their microphones different when they come on as guests. And it can be a bit of a pain. But I can have... I can adjust it, as you know, but if everybody's volume is different levels, then you can't hear some other people, right, if you turn it down. But lucky enough, Discord also has a volume control, so there's all these different volume controls throughout the whole process, right? It gets very, very confusing. Then I have to run gates and what? Expanders. Alright, claim that audio wastes hours on my time. Yeah, and if you got Windows Update, often it destroys it all too and resets things and renames it too. If you install a new audio device, it can push it all out of order. And a lot of our software is hard-coded using, well, the mixers are hard-coded using IDs, and if the IDs change, you have to redo everything. It's a pain in the bum. Anyway, we should be talking about UFOs. And not streaming problems. So today, got a bit to go over, updates, as well as some interesting videos which could be talking about camera artifacts, which could be useful for sky watchers to know. So, and also talking about the cube inside a sphere. Some information I heard changes the whole damn story of that too. So we're going to go over that. I didn't realise that even the Navy guys keep changing their story. So it makes me more suspect about it all. That it's not actually aliens, but it's our technology more and more. I can see where David Fravor has gone with it. Because he probably started off thinking it was alien technology, and then eventually you heard all the other Navy guys talking about it and realised, hey, hang on, something's not adding up. And they're changing their stories. Or embellishing their stories, right? So yeah, I got my website link pinned up there where you can find most of the links, but there's also a special link that shows all our links in the description normally. It's called links dot something or other. Plex setup. Alright. So I don't know if I got anything missing. So I got a lot of tabs here, so I have to start reducing some. So I thought this was quite funny. We'll start off with this. I was looking up telescopes and camera artifacts, and this is how you learn, because you've got to do a lot of research. Got a telescope but can't see anything, not sure why. Look at this. I thought that was hilarious. A cat decided that's a good place to sleep on his expensive looking telescope there. Laying on a mirror, that can't be very good, can it? But anyway, I thought that was hilarious. I posted it on Twitter. I know Charlie would love to chase that one. So, we're talking about Gabba's sparkly sphere craft. And it might be part of how it moves in any direction, as well as maintains hovering status. So if they've got a lighter than air ship, right, ion engines using atmospherics, using the gas in the air to push it in any direction makes perfect sense, doesn't it? And probably the more sparkly it gets, the more ions it's creating to go against the wind too. So maybe sometimes we don't see that sparkling as much as what Gabba was saying, because he said it was a strong wind that night. But this is what happens when you film a bright light like a star. And this is a really good example video, which I'll post a link to this guy. Looks like he's got a few views on this one because it's quite a useful little video. How many subs he got? Certainly got lots of subs. GR Show. So I'm not sure if he filmed this or someone gave it to him. But it just shows you, as you're trying to focus in on a point of light, how you can get that craziness around the outside due to light. What they call it, diffraction, where light cancels out and also amplifies, and it creates a ring pattern, like the troughs in a wave cancel out and create blackness, and the ones where they join together like a big wave creates a brightness. So let's just have a look at this. I'll just mute it. Okay, so this is focusing on a star they said. And this is what happens when it's out of focus. Now, if you compare this to Gabba's one, you can see it's pretty constant. You know, it's not sort of rotating like his one was. And it wasn't the interference patterns and lines coming from the center bit are pretty much stationary. They're pretty constant. Well, Gabba's one was totally different. You could see it was going to a certain distance, and the lightning spikes were sort of random, just like a plasma ball, where it was moving through the gas inside the two layers. So here it is playing around with the focus. You can start to see strange patterns occurring. That's caused by atmospherics as well as the lens inside the camera. Now you could say that kind of looks like Gabba's there, but then you haven't got the nice bright circle bit in the middle, right? So you can rule it out. So that kind of does look like a plasma ball, but it lacks a nice in focus white bit in the middle that he was getting, where you can see a rotating black hole. So if you've not watched last live, you probably have to go back and see what we're talking about. Now, a lot of people film these out of focus, right? Okay, so now we're getting this nice dark bit like Gabba's and the ring. But his wasn't even like that, right? We weren't getting a little tiny white bit in the middle and a lot of spikes going around the outside like that. So that does kind of look like a lightning plasma ball effect. But there you go. Once they start getting it in the focus in the other direction, one's called out of focus outer and inner, I think they call it. You can see now it's starting to take the shape of the aperture, which generally is like 6 or 5 blades generally in most cameras. So let's just zoom in on that. And you can see here it's got a black bit going around. That's because of what we were talking about, the double slit experiment, where you get light that sort of amplifies and cancels. A bit like how sound even cancels, right? You can use cancelling headsets. Well, it's a bit like that with light. But you can see, again, it doesn't even match Gabba TV's one, so we can't sort of say his was out of focus. Or some atmospherics, right? So he could be in focus, but still we could get atmospherics that does the same problem with optics. And you can see here the shape of the aperture there as well. It's not a nice perfect sphere in the middle. And that's it, right? So now we've got that in the head. You should be able to be aware of fake UFO channels that are filming orbs or satellites or planets or stars out of focus, and it kind of looks like a weird hollow sphere inside a sphere type thing. I'll just post a link to that and you can have a look on your own screens. And so we need lots of little examples like that to learn from, what not to do. Copy, yep. Hey Shagun, how's it going? I'll just catch up. So we're talking about out of focus stars and what they call diffraction. All these technical names they have. Did it not copy? What happened there? I said copy there, didn't I? Yeah, something went wrong here. Oh no, maybe it's... Oh yeah, it has stuffed up, hasn't it? Let me just try that again. Did I pin? Yeah, I got pin comment, haven't I? What happened there? That's kind of weird. Out of focus. Don't say there's another problem. Star. Diffraction. So once you got all the keywords, you can then start searching. I think it worked all right that time. Okay, so who we got up here? Hello. Gabba and Shogun. Is that all we got? 2 years. That's right. Yeah, I feel really good today, which is normally my bad day. But last night I decided that I would take an aspirin and an acid pill and put some inflammation cream on and try and get a position in bed where I wouldn't end up with aches and pains so much, and it sort of worked. So now I feel like doing that because I've got so much to cover. Now, this is off UFO Twitter. Coming up. Yeah, got lots to cover here. So here's another illusion here, which I thought was quite interesting. An optical illusion that seems to be both a circle and a square is baffling the internet. Here's how it works. So, I think there's a video here where he shows how it works. So basically he gets a toilet roll and cuts it in a certain way. This shows how we can be fooled. I'll just I'll just mute that. No copyright claims. So let's have a look. So he's got a toilet roll, squashes it. So it's a circle, right? But he's cut it previously. Whereabouts was it? Whereabouts has he cut it? He spends too much time talking. It must be coming up then. Okay, there we go. So he cuts off this curvy bit, and that's the key to the optical illusion. This shows that what you see with your eyes can actually trick you. Okay, so let's just zoom in that. So it can actually look like a square and a circle just by rotating it. See that? So that's what we're seeing on camera, I guess. Square. And then rotate it, and it's back to a circle. Because of that way it's cut out on the edge. Kind of clever, really. And I'll just post a link to that. So this Optical Illusions, I'll just call that one. So if you had a craft in the sky like that, right, like he just showed you, that's actually a cylinder, and you're seeing it from the end, and it rotates around. It's got a funny end to it. You can see how it could be changing shapes. So I just wonder if that could be what was fooling some of the pilots too. But anyway, it's just something that came across in the research I thought I'd share, because I thought it was quite interesting. So this guy here, David and Sky, is filming a UFO, he claims. Now, we just looked at stars with out of focusness, right? And you can see how it sort of changes purples and blues because of ice crystals in the atmosphere. So to me, I think he's just filming either Venus or possibly just a star. And he's got a cheap camera or a lens that's a diamond blade, 4-bladed diamond. As you know, you can get irises or apertures that got some blades. You know, they got blades that go cross like that, and they form these different circular shapes. So you can get a 3-bladed one, creates a triangle, And then you got 4 ones that create ones. So when this shuts off light to a camera, DSLRs still have apertures, right? They shut off the light to the sensor, but if you change the focal length and all that, so you actually start to see the shape of the aperture inside that lets the light into the sensor, right? So you can get ones that got 4 blades and then 5 blades that creates a pentagon. Let me see. Let's just put camera iris in, see if that comes up actually. 4 blades. So we've been over this before, right? So you're talking about the hole that you can have on a cover that goes to the lens, right, to shut out some of the light. Hence a pinhole camera. And you can also have it inside as part of the shutter. And here's some examples here. So these, how it does it with blades. That one's quite a good one. And you can see this one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blades, and it creates a hexagon. And if you go here, this one shows you one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blades, octagon shape. Let's see if we can find one that's actually got less blades. Is that one with less blades? And that's opticon still, isn't it? It's different height, different hole sizes. Have to be one here somewhere. So this is how the blades work, of course. Mechanical. They fold away out to the edge of the camera, and then they fold in. And of course it creates that hexagon shape that you see on these out of focus star images. And that's what you see inside the camera. And of course some of these cameras can open and shut this iris up to 8,000 times a second using electric motors. That's the limitation. A lot of cameras will only do 1,000. But the high-end ones can go really fast, but it makes you wonder how long it would last before it breaks. So you can do camera burst mode, right, with these. Obviously, it's going to wear out the camera faster, though. Where you can do really slow motion of a bug flying past, and you can see its wings flapping. You probably need something like 4,000 or at least 8,000 frames a second to be able to see individual movement of the wings, right? So then when you get a bug that flies past one of these cheap cameras, it looks like a UFO because it got motion blur, and that happens because you got overlay of images before the shutter closes, right? All the sensor is picking up light as it's moving across, then it shuts and finalizes the image. But if you've got it going really, really fast, you don't have that problem. And of course, limitation has been CMOS, which scans it like a flatbed scanner, going left or right or down to bottom, top to bottom generally, but that's not always the rule. But it always scans in chunks. Unlike CCD cameras, which used a lot of power, they would process the shutter all at once and process what's on the sensor all in one go. But CMOS is a cheaper version and uses less power to do, so they become more popular. But now the technology's improving, CPUs are getting faster. They can scan very quickly, a lot quicker, and process the image. So the rolling shutter and all those other effects will get less and less of a problem because they're going fast enough to be able to capture it. But yeah, here we go. Here's a 4-bladed iris here. Alright, so I think what we're seeing here in this star image, or what that guy's doing, he's using a camera that's got a diamond or a square. Next one is 5 blades, 6 blades, 6 blades, and whatever that one is. It's got infinity here, so it must have a lot of blades. 10 blades or more, is it? So you can see here it's talking about how you get the spikes happening when it's in focus, right? And that's because it's going through the corners. You see, 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and plus a little gap. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 5th one's interesting. You get little spikes in between. But anyway, just keep on going. I think that's good enough though. A lot of examples there. Now, in smartphones and not they've got away with the shutter. What they've got now is what you call like a LCD screen in front of it that can turn black, so it shuts off all the light passing through to the sensor. But they also have a limitation how fast you can electrically switch the blackness on and off on that LCD filter. I think even that's limited to about 1,000. So yeah, finish with that one. So this is an interesting thing. So he's got a video. Where is it? Here. So we just played the video. So he's saying he's filmed a cube inside a sphere, right? He's obviously trying to either con us or he's amateur. Filmed early this morning, right? It sounds like when you have a really bright object, you know, the sun coming up to film. You can see it's not quite a diamond shape. It sort of creates like a horseshoe shape for some reason. But let's just play it and you'll see. Yeah, I don't believe that guy. I'll just mute him. So yeah. So that explains how he's creating that, right? It's just a camera artifact. You can see sometimes it's sort of less open on that side, but you can see Gabba's one is nothing like that, right? It's not out of focus. Gabba had his one in focus. And that's why I said it was a good capture he got, because it actually looked like what he had seen up close, right? With the lightning spikes coming off, randomizing around the outside. Well, you can see this is pretty constant. It's not rotating. And this guy's trying to say this is what the airplane pilots were seeing, which is a load of cobblers. So I had to talk about it. Because a lot of people out there on UFO Twitter are being conned by it, right? How many likes did he get on it? 1,400 likes. That's because people believe that he's actually filming a UFO, right? Bollocks, I say. And I started looking for more examples. Here's one here. 6-bladed aperture, blue, out of focus. Now need image from diamond aperture, which I couldn't find. It's close to this one here, so you can see this image here. It's got the same color blue, and it's a star. The guy said he's filming a star. And you can see Maybe it's not as bright as the other guy's one, but you can see it's got a hexagon shape in the middle there rather than a square, and it's quite wider aperture. I think depends on the F number I think they have on the lens. So it depends on the lens curvature, where you can match it exactly like the guy had. It's complicated stuff, isn't it? I'll just post a link to that in the side chat, and I'll catch up with the comments. Blue out of focus. So we're not going to be conned by that, are we? Yeah, definitely. See, yeah, you know this. I'm constantly on the focus to make sure I get character clearest possible. Yep. So I just wanted to bring this up because I was thinking people were going to say yours was out of focus. Like Nick, I could see Mick West going down that line, saying it's a camera artifact, but I don't think it was. You know, I don't always agree with Mick West. A lot of his stuff I do agree with, but not all of it. And then I will readjust focus. Yeah, okay. So you use a manual focus, you don't use automatic, obviously, because it will never work very well. So we know how autofocus works, right? It's got another sensor next to the lens that sends out infrared, and it bounces off the nearest object it finds in the lens focus area, and that sets the focal point there, right? So if you've got a tree that's next to you and you're trying to film a UFO in the sky, that infrared beam will bounce back to your smartphone, and that's why it's always going to be out of focus, because it's always picking up something that it thinks is in the lens range. Even if you use digital zoom, right, it's still that sensor's still picking it up and not taking into account the digital zoom in, and you can't get it in focus unless you disable autofocus feature on your smartphone. So there's a problem with ufology. It really is. I do not care if people do not understand. I mainly focus. Well, I do care, because this is a learning lesson, right? My shots up to 3 times in 2 minutes of footage, really not my problem what people think. But yeah, we got to rule out noise and find the truth. So this is why people watch me. They want to understand camera artifacts, and next time they see someone that's saying they're filming a UFO that looks like a cube inside a sphere, you'll know exactly what it is. A camera artifact, and he's trying to con us. So yeah, we're sort of done with that now. I'll give you the link to the video as well. The video's a lot better than still pictures though. Video of star sphere and cube camera artifact. Okay, cool stuff. Get rid of some of these tabs as we wait for it. Okay, so we're going to talk about the next part of this. Oh, I accidentally banged the mouse then. Okay, we don't need that one anymore. So what's interesting is interview. So where do we go from here? Was it not coming up? Okay, so when I heard this interview here, that changed everything that I heard before. Here he's saying that it was most likely stationary. You know how they talked about the UFO passing between them, like from behind? This now changes the whole story. He's saying that they were flying along and they passed an object that was stationary in the sky, like a balloon. So he says just didn't know if it was there, but was, at the time. So I'm not sure what he's saying. He's saying that it was stationary, but they didn't know it was there when they shot past it. That's what he's saying. Which is not what I heard first of all. I heard that these UFOs were intentionally getting really close to jets and passing between them. But what if it's a stationary object like a weather balloon that they're passing by, or some other experimental balloon, right? This is why I believe it's our technology and not a UFO. So they talk about these UFOs doing Mach 8 and Mach 5 and all that sort of stuff. That's still within our technology. Especially if it's a unmanned drone. At the time, we weren't even sure if it was really real or not. They weren't even sure what they were seeing. So that kind of even makes it sound like a hologram as well. Like it's like some decoy that the government are playing around with, projecting a hologram. Transparent sphere with a black square in the middle. So I went to find this particular video. It's on a show called Unidentified, I think. Season 1, episode 4, was it? But I couldn't find the transcript for it, and I didn't want to play the video because of it being on History Channel, which don't take into fair use account, even if you play their trailer. So I wasn't going to risk it. But I found UFO Joe, which is Joe Merger, right? He's known as UFO Joe. And there's another interview that they did. And he doesn't talk about it being stationary in the whole thing. So if we do Control F and put in stationary, he should talk about it being stationary again. Right? But he's not talking about the sphere with the cube in it being stationary. The only one reference, it's only one reference or two maybe. But to see stationary objects or objects out there that are behaving cross borders and things like that, it's not the best of people to understand, is he? What's the next one? And when it's stationary like that, our turn radius is like 4,000 feet. So they're going so fast, they have a lot of turn of their planes to get around again. So probably should have a read off this interview. But I don't see anything that he said on the other one about them passing it being stationary. He's talking about stationary objects here. But he hasn't mentioned it being the sphere one with the cube, right? If we type in sphere... if I type it incorrectly, we get 14 references. Okay, so this is the first one here. Big blurb. it was a sphere of some type, right? But there's no mention of it being stationary. How far apart were they? 400 feet. So, we got the History Channel there again. Grace said he didn't think these objects cubed within a sphere, if they were balloons, could travel at 8 Mach. So that doesn't make any sense. If it's stationary, it's not moving at, oh right, 0.8 of a Mach. I didn't see the point there. So that's incorrect though. We know that Black Ops have got airships going at Mach 23, they claim. Mach 5 has been the normal speed at cruising speed, you know. And the only cube within a sphere he has spoken about appeared to be standing still. Alright, so you can see Joe's added the comment about it standing still or floating, but there's no mention from him at this stage in the interview about it being stationary. I just find it really a bit strange that we're only just finding out about this. Tractors flying at 0.8 of a Mach or a similar speed. So I'm not sure where they're getting the speed from. Is there a pilot or WSO out there who saw a cube within a sphere? So they haven't got any other witness accounts of it travelling at 0.8 Mach, is what he's saying here. Oh, did someone track an object on their radar at 0.8 of a Mach? So they must have seen it on their radar moving, but not with their eyes, right? Not with their planes next to it. Because their planes can do up to Mach 5, isn't it? Those F-16s, 18s. That was a cube within a sphere, but never saw it visually. Okay, so let's go through the other comments. See what else there is. Surrounding that cube was a sphere of some type. Okay, we've come across this one before. I mean, you could clearly see through it. You could tell there's a sphere there. You know, was it translucent? I don't necessarily know where the apex is of the cube. We're essentially touching the inner surface, inner circumference of that sphere. So what's he saying here? That maybe they pass through the sphere? So it seems like it's all over the place with this guy. Doesn't seem to be too sure what he saw now, does he? And we're not even sure if they can travel 0.88 of a Mach. Okay. So this is where it's coming up with new information that comes to light about these radar balloons. Is it possible, as Tyler Rogaway has suggested, that the cube within a translucent sphere was a radar reflector carried by a balloon? Well, I don't think it's carried by a balloon. I reckon it's actually inside the balloon. Because it makes perfect sense. Now, if you had a submarine that could launch all these radar reflectors as decoys, right? And just simply shoot them out the missile tube, and they then instantly inflate with a gas cylinder, right? And then the gas cylinder drops off. Then you got this black radar reflector that looks like a diamond cube inside, right? Especially if you're passing by at certain Mach speeds past it, it's going to look very strange. And there's no guarantee. This is like obviously a leaked patent, Navy patent, is it? Looks like it's from a patent. You know, it's got the usual numbers that you get on a patent drawing. Mick West found it by the looks of it. But yeah, it does pose possibilities like could they move this around with some sort of iron engine even and get it up to Mach 0.8? It's possible, and of course that radar reflector is going to show up on radar moving, and so it's just a matter of what they've got on their black programs, doesn't it? So it's putting less doubt on it being a UFO craft now, coming through a interdimensional portal, when it could be something mundane as a decoy radar deflector that's launched by a submarine to distract the Navy that are hunting it or whatever in a war game scenario simulation, just to test them out. Or even a drone, right? Could you store, how many of those could you store in a large drone of 30 feet? Depends how big this blows up, of course. So I think in the interview here he talks on being about 30 feet. I reckon you could store those inside a drone. Probably a few dozen of them, right? Just launch them, and if you can control them as well, that would just make them more confused of what's really attacking them. So I could see where David Fravor would be going if more of this type of information come out, but of course Mick West has gone on this one here, but it's just an idea of a concept, and of course it could be a lot bigger. It could expand. It could then attract and fall back into the sea, even where they can pick it up again and reuse it. There's all sorts of possibilities. So let's just keep on going. I'll just catch up on the side first. Slightly out of focus would be like the star and a slight, very light bubble around it. Yep, that's what I was showing people. So what else we got? Go downwards. Let's see. Mick West, you may want to turn away. So they really don't like Mick West, but you got to listen to Mick West's findings, and he might be on the right track. After all this, you know, on the message board of his website, it is just a coincidence. Have other pilots seen these cube spheres with their eyes travelling at hundreds of miles per hour? If so, then I think the radar reflector theory would be sunk. Actually not, Joe. Totally wrong. It means there's a possibility, and this is just one idea of a floating one, but they could easily put a iron engine on that with a carbon battery, right? A carbon lithium battery that could push that along, because it's going to be super light at really fast speeds against the wind even. So I think UFO Joe is just looking to debunk the debunkers here. I think he's totally out of his mind. It's still a really good plausible explanation, especially when you look at the stuff I've just recently found. Now, when you saw these over the series of 6 months, was it always the same sphere-like cube thing, or you just never got that close again? Okay. I never personally saw one, and I only know 2 people that visually saw it. So that changes the whole story, doesn't it? It seems like if you had your so here's something that I actually just thought of here. When we would typically go out and try to find one of these things, we had our radar on it. Okay, so it's a radar reflector. We had our sensors on it, so it was getting hit by, a decent amount of radio frequencies. In this particular case, when they flew through it, and he's got a question mark, so he doesn't know if they flew through it at all. They didn't know it was, so they didn't have it on its radar. Seems like gibberish here, doesn't it? So it may have not had known it was there either. But typically, if you're going to try to find it, you typically weren't able to see it. So that tells me it's got some sort of able to turn off the radar reflection, right? So if it's got a black thing in the middle, maybe it's got some sort of electro coating where it can polarize it another direction and it doesn't reflect anymore, or makes it go even more translucent. So a clear balloon with a clear bit in the middle which doesn't show up anymore, it's going to be hard to see when the planes get where it was the last radar hit. So as soon as they approach it, this goes cloak and they just fly past it. That's what I'm seeing. I still think it's either Chinese or our technology, not alien. Well, why would aliens do that? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why would they suddenly cloak? Why would they be scared? Why wouldn't they just shoot off at ridiculous Mach speeds instead? Why would they simply just cloak and always have them almost near miss it, crash into it? Doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, what else we got? We got the information. I can't imagine a sphere with a cube inside to be Russian or Chinese technology. Why not? It makes perfect sense. They got these plastic submarines which they don't detect on sonar or whatever, and it doesn't make any noise because they're using electricity and really advanced batteries, nuclear cells probably. They're probably using those nuclear carbon batteries, right? This just seems so, it's such a drastic departure from what we know to be reality. I think it could be Russian or Chinese, launched from submarines. I absolutely agree with you, but if you're going to sell it to the Senate, which one do you think they're more interested in? They're going to be more interested in if the Russians and Chinese are ahead in technology. Okay, so where's the bit about it being black? Black's cube. Oh, maybe you have to type in cube. Let's just do that one. There we go, dark cube. Let's see. How far apart were they? They're 2 aircrafts, about 400 feet. So that means they passed the object with 400 feet between the 2 jets. Okay. and they saw the thing go between the two, like cut the distance between them and just fly at the same altitude. So essentially like eye level. Yeah, at eye level, yeah. Looks like he's putting words in this guy's mouth. I mean, within plus or minus 15 feet. I don't know exactly. How come you can't know exactly if it's reflecting radar, though? Wouldn't you know down to inches with their fine radar they have on their planes? But yeah, it went right between them, and you know, they gained actual visual of it. And I remember when they came back into the ready room after I was hanging out in there, and they came in, you know, and they still have their gear on, which is pretty rare, because the first thing you want to do if you're wearing 50 pounds of gear, sweating in it, is go take it off and when you get back. Yeah. So I see them sitting there with a look of shock on their face. You know, it's like, what the F happened? And he comes out, and it's just like I almost hit one of those damn things. Right, it doesn't sound like a UFO passing between them, it's them almost crashing into a clear balloon. And he was just flabbergasted that it had finally come to that point, you know, because it was kind of off the fear that someone's gonna hit one of these things. Yeah. But what would happen? Go pop. Would it get stuck in the engine? Right, they can always eject, can't they? And he described it to us. He had described it, what it looked like. A dark silver or dark cube. Silver, eh? Like a radar reflector? Or a dark cube? Why would it be dark? I suppose, depending if it's lit up, right? So it might not even be black at all. One side might be reflected, the other one might be dark. Surrounding the cube was a sphere of some type. I mean, you could clearly see through it. I think I read out that bit before. Okay. So that's it, you know. So it's very strange. No propeller system, no exhaust. You know, we would see that on the floor too. So we had already assumed that it was no exhaust. So what did they see on floor though? Was it the round shape or just the cube inside? Because the cube, if it's black or silver, it's going to be the most hot part of the balloon, isn't it? A clear balloon, you'd expect the sunlight to pass through, but it's obviously got gas in it, like helium, that's going to heat up. There was no propeller because we would have seen it. But we really, honestly, just didn't know what to think of at that point. They don't. He's not too sure, is he? So I think we've pretty much covered that one now. It's interesting when you get a different information on it. You know, I read all those news reports saying, "Oh, the sphere, the cube inside the sphere passed between the two jets," when actually it was the two jets approached it, went through and past it, which changes the whole story. Makes it sound less alien technology, right? Yeah, you can get rid of those ones now. So that's him there. Be good to actually watch his body language. But I did actually invite that guy to come on live to talk about what he saw, and he declined. So what was he scared of? Was he scared of me? Because I'd catch him out, maybe, in a lie. But I think those two interviews are really changing the whole story from what we read in the news summaries, right? Funny how people can't get their story straight. Have they changed the story from the initial, like it passed between them? Now they're saying they passed it by. They could see it on radar moving. Well, they assume it was it moving. It could have been something like a drone that was releasing them. So they don't really know. So it could be a drone that's towing it behind, releasing them. And then the drone shoots off back into the sea where it come from. Sounds like wartime technology to me. So I started looking around for other stuff with cubes and spheres, and I found these things here. USA to use century-old technology against Chinese hypersonic missiles. Hang on. Didn't the Navy fleet have all these cubes inside spheres all hanging around above the sky? Could it be that they got radar reflectors on to attract hypersonic missiles to them and blow them up in the sky? So could it be US technology, these balloons, and they just haven't told the pilots to see whether they'd crash into them accidentally or whatever, just keep it real-time simulation. And none of them have crashed into them. Yeah. So they're just using balloons like these ones, which kind of look clear. But that could be this Project Mogul all over again. So you can see here, this one inside here, it looks like one of these clear things. And they've got an extra cover going around the outside, right? Looks like they got the helium cell inside here. Makes you wonder if they got rid of this outer one and decided just to experiment and actually put a motor, some sort of electric motor on it to move it around as well. High altitude balloon made by Raven. So that's a high altitude one, but you can see that the Navy wouldn't use a high altitude one though, would they? They want one that they can adjust to all different heights. So it makes sense that I'd want to put a motor on it. So when was that announced? That was this year, not too long ago, right? So more and more stuff's coming out. Can also aid satellites to monitor Mach 5 plus weapons. So they've got sensors on it as well. They've got detection of these fast moving objects. It still sounds like our technology, what the Navy pilots encountered. I'll give you that link to that story anyway. I thought that was quite interesting. So we got hypersonic decoys, basically. Balloon decoys. And here's proof. It might not be what they're using, but at least they said they're using old technology. A balloon. Yeah, so we just close that one down. Then I found that's another story. That should be up front. We'll get to that one. Then I found this one, which is a commercial company. The largest range of aerostats in the world. Aerostats? Provides every needed to fly and maintain and store helikites. They call them helikites, like helium kites. Since the helium kites was designed and painted it by Sandy L.A. in 1993. That was before 2004, wasn't it? The the first video that we got released, has designed many types of helikite to suit our customers. I wonder if the Navy buys them often. But here's some of these strange balloons. Skyhook helikites. So it's a helium and a kite combined. Almost looks like a radar reflector here, doesn't it? So if you make that transparent, see, that's black. Desert Star. Sky Shot. It's got a red thing. So that's something else you got to watch out for now in the sky. These things, right? If how many UFO people would be filming that, thinking that's alien technology? I'll give you a link to that one too. So it's amazing what I can find when I start doing research. It's amazing how much is out there that we never hear about. I'll just shrink that back down a bit. How many people we got on today? Oh, we got 4. Who's out there? We got Gabba. Who else did I miss? Was Blue Chicken around? Heli. Kite. In fact, I think we've seen this particular one on some UFO videos, that one. On third phase, right? Remember they had some of these over the sea that kind of looked like they might have been blimps. So if you saw that out to sea, right, and it's actually something they tow behind a boat to collect weather stats, I guess that's what it's for. That's for collecting sensor readings of some kind, I guess. Doesn't say too much about it, does it? It talks about weather here. So instead of using weather balloons, they're going to this type of technology now, where they've got more control and they can measure it per level, I guess, and just raise it up. Then wind it back down and keep reusing it instead of send them up into the sky, and it ends up being part of food chain inside whales and other mammals, sea mammals, I guess, that eat it. Tommy, how's it going? Thanks for joining us and saying hi in the side chat so we know who's out there. So we got Gabba. He's the most chatty one. We're talking about out of focus stars and his last UFO sighting. We got Shogun, and I think that's about all people have said so far, isn't it? Have I missed anybody? Thanks for joining us anyway. So what else did I find? Wouldn't you like to know? Okay, this one here. DARPA balloons could hover at the edge of space indefinitely. How about this, guys? So you could have all these up on the edge of space and suddenly swoop down onto a Navy fleet and confuse the hell out of them. Maybe I was talking about the Calvine one. Well, here we go. This is part of it. And let's scroll down. Have a rock. And there's no pictures. No pictures. But we got a comment. Well, that's about the only picture we got here. I wonder if we can scale it down a bit. There we go. So I'm not sure if that's what it is. The agency is using lasers to keep its balloons in one place. Lasers, people. So they're firing lasers that push it or keep it stationary in the same place. I suppose once you get up to the edge of space, there's less air for ions. And so actually you can create ions still, I think, if you take up gas with you. But lasers, you wouldn't need that, right? You just need lots of electrical power, and the photons create a push effect, right? So if you've got a laser that's dense enough particles in it, you could use it like a motor. I guess that's what they're saying. Stratosphere balloons are exactly what they sound like. Balloons that sit in the stratosphere, the layer of Earth's atmosphere that begins roughly at 600,000 feet above its surface. NASA's first began experimenting, NASA, with the devices in 1950s, guys. You remember that hypersonic missile back in 1957? Well, they got these balloons also moving at hypersonic speeds. But they're not saying it in this article. And they are very useful. We now use them to do everything from monitoring the weather to delivering internet access. The problem with stratosphere balloons is that neither NASA or anyone else has been able to figure out how to keep them in one spot for more than a few days at a time. The stratosphere winds blow them around in ways scientists still haven't learnt to predict. Not yet anyway. So yet they're pretty sure on climate change, but they still can't predict how the winds are going to work. So this is why I think climate change is a scam myself. There's no way they know how climate works. They can't predict wind directions and speeds and all that. So whenever I hear some sort of politician on TV saying we got to save the world, it's climate change, I say bullshit. We don't know enough because we haven't studied it enough yet. As part of the Adaptable Lighter Than Air balloon program, DARPA. So they've been doing it since the early 50s. The US Department of Defense Tech Research Agency is currently testing a sensor called Strata OAWL, which stands for Stratosphere Optical Autoconvergence Wind LiDAR. The idea is to use lasers to deduce the speed and direction of wind gusting far away from the stratosphere. Okay, they're using it as sensors then. So what are they using to keep it steady then? Is it does this by shining laser pulses in two directions. Some of the laser light that reflects off the air returns to the sensor, which analyzes its wavelength changes, and the wavelength allows Strata L to determine the speed of the air that's reflected the light, as well as the direction. Stratosphere balloon can then adjust its altitude to wherever wind. So it's not saying what type of engines it's got. So they misled us to start with, using dense lasers to move, wasn't it? The lasers are used for sensors. It's hard to predict how the US might make use of the stratosphere balloon that never moves. And it looks like a damn UFO. He couldn't discuss the tech's military role. Yeah, of course not. In 2017, US Navy Admiral Kirk noted during a geospatial intelligence symposium that the military believed stratosphere balloons could have some interesting applications. Capable of remaining airborne for 180 days or longer. Well, that seems a bit flimsy, isn't it? They should know exactly how. Oh, it can stay up there from 180 days to 200 days, and then we need to come back down for supplies. No, it doesn't say anything like that. We think that this is the potential to be the game changer. So obviously it's not censored in any way, is it? Putting out that information that I found on a Google search. So the Russians and Chinese now know they've got these things. So why haven't the Russians and Chinese copied it? Well, they probably have. Anyway, I'll post a link to that one too. So when was that published? After all the bullshit that we hear from these talking heads? 2018 it was. A year after we heard about the gimbal and all that, right? That was 2017, wasn't it? Okay, let's just post that one up. DARPA, I think. I always went on about DARPA. No one's asked DARPA if it was them. You know, they asked all the Navy and Marines and they're saying it's not them, but they didn't ask DARPA. And if it was classified, they're not going to tell you anyway. Yeah, it still gets a bit more interesting yet. So we're going back to this article here when it first got mentioned. Wasn't sure whether Mick West is the first one to bring it up or the Drive. Now, you know how they were talking about Mick West. But there's that guy, Tyler Rosaway. We talked about that in the other article. So he found a patent. So could that be the original source and Mick West used it? And I bet that's the interview, is it? Which I can't play, where he's talking about it being stationary. I bet it's on that one. But anyway, I'll let you have a play of that one because we won't play it live on the air because I don't want no problems. Is that the XB70 there going, is it? What's that one? A12. Looks very much like the XB70 that we talked about in past live shows too. At Groom Lake, of all things. Hey? Starting to all fit together now. Blackbird, SR-71, CIA. During the Cuban Missile Crisis. Yeah. A-12 spy plane. So they reckon that's a spy plane. But now they converted it into a nuclear bomber. Remember that? The XB-70. So you got to piece all this stuff together, right? It starts to fit together like a jigsaw. And you can see why there's a lot of disinformation and using UFOs and aliens to distract it from actually being their own US secret black ops programs which can't tell Congress. I don't know. It's kind of weird, America. The Drive article. It's amazing what you can do when you spend a few hours. Are we back? Are we back? How long did I drop off for? I think it was pretty instant there. I just saw it pop up on the screen. Are we back? Let me just check. And the side chat always keeps going. But the stream dropped. Are we back? Are we back? It looks like it's saying it's back here. Okay, guys. Are we back? Are you still there, guys? For some reason, the string dropped. We are back. Okay, cool. Now, we come back to that one. Here we go. This is the next interesting bit here. US attorney claims CIA tracks UFO signatures with secret technology and collected UAP data. Now, remember those balloons that we're just looking at had sensors on them, and they're talking about these stratosphere balloons with lasers. Have they got these stratosphere balloons set up with some sort of laser grid? So that means if an object moves around between altitudes, so they might have them at different altitudes, and some sort of laser grid that you don't see. You don't see lasers unless it sort of reflects light, like fog. Smoke machines and like in disco club. You don't actually see the lasers unless you got some sort of particles that reflect some of the energy. So could they have some sort of laser grid set up where it can actually detect things moving that's not showing up on radar? I reckon they've got something like that sorted out. There's a lot they're not telling us here. So if we drop again, guys, just say so in the side chat, just in case I don't spot it. Not sure what happened there, whether it was CPU getting too slow or ISP outage, micro outage, but we're back again. But you can see my concerns now of putting all this together. I'm just trying to get this right on the other screen again. Okay, there we go. So, I haven't actually read this full article. Obviously, there's lots and lots of reading when you do research, and you haven't got time to go through it all. But we'll just have a quick look on September the 5th. So it's recent, 6 days ago. An eye-opening interview featuring American attorney Daniel Sheehan was released on UAMN TV, hosted by reporter Regina Meredith, focused on the UAP phenomenon. He unfolds the current UFO status in Congress and offers context from an insider's perspective around the timely questions surfacing in the public eye. He said that the CIA acquires a special technology that tracks UFO signatures without active radar, optical or IR equipment. Is lasers classed as optical though? Well, lasers not using infrared, is it? But I would have thought they were optical. But maybe optical here, he's meaning visually, right? Like camera frames, right? Detect an object moving in a frame of a video. So there was another thing that I did quite a few lives back on this idea of researching microwave, fine microwave energy that they use for detecting rain clouds, that they could actually detect the particles of the clouds moving apart where an object would be passing through. So that was another thing that they were talking about, tracking objects by actually seeing how their environment was changing. And if a plane goes through a cloud, say, or a UFO goes through a cloud, obviously it's going to disturb that cloud with the moisture in it. And if you've got a radar that can actually reflect back off those moisture, ice crystals or vapor, water crystals, then you could see those moving apart and you'll be able to detect where the plane was, right? It was like a research project that I found, a research paper, which I'm pretty sure the military would have been interested in, and probably commissioned a university to experiment with that idea, using the right wavelengths of microwaves to be able to track things in the sky that's not visible. So that might be another way of doing it, but he's saying they're not using radar, and of course that would be part of active radar. Unless they call that passive radar. I think the key word here is active radar. So I think it's a play with words again. Optical being visual, not lasers, and active radar when we could be talking about passive radar, where it actually detects things passively by subtracting the environment movement. I'm not sure what live show it was in, but I actually brought up the PDF and read it out. I think it was debunking secure teams, strange radar images, right? Which was actually moths and bats. I think it was on that one. He was saying it was UFO, a big mothership move and stuff. Technology to track UFOs. So they're saying it began in 1977. You can see here when he was approached by his friend Marissa Smith. Spent 31 years as a science and technology policy expert. Recent interview, blah blah blah. Electromagnetic Intelligence Center. Have we heard of that before? I haven't heard that from Black Vault. Is he actually doing any FOIA requests on that? Developed an entirely new technology separate from the radar that allowed them to track the signatures of UFOs. It's got to be using lasers. In that case, it's the only way I can think of it, where you sort of walk through one of those doors in the shop and it goes beep 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 because you break the beam. That would be a perfect way to track things. It doesn't matter what they're cloaking then, does it? Because it's still a solid object. It's going to break the beam regardless. I'm just skimming through it here. Because I don't want to do too much reading. They had set up a thing called the Electromagnetic Intelligence Center, so they were developing different forms of electromagnetic discernment equipment that was able to track the electromagnetic signatures of vehicles. So that would discount lasers then, wouldn't it? They're actually using electromagnetic waves, right? So as an object passes through an electromagnetic wave, it alters it. So they must be using the Earth's field in that case. They must be able to detect things moving through the Earth's field, which would mean that you'd need these blimps, these stratosphere blimps that they're using still, to be able to do that. So obviously all that technology is interconnected here. Not just radar that bounced off them, they were picking up a lot of these UFOs with this new technology. And we're only just finding out about it. So they know, the government, US government knows about UFOs, guys. And whether it's aliens or other countries, they definitely know. Let me just get a drink. Anyway, have a read of all that if you want to. So, the information is slowly leaking out now. And it makes you wonder why. If it's so highly top secret, why are they putting it out in public information for the Russians and Chinese to read? You know what I mean? And yet, the next thing I'm going to show you is that they've rejected releasing these videos of these UAPs to Black Vault. So we'll have a look at that. CIA UAP detection. So we've got to keep an eye on that one. Black Vault needs to investigate that for us. FOIA requests. The UFO deception, yes, we have to get onto that. So, break-in. After nearly 2.5 years and numerous FOIA cases filed, the US Navy just denied the release of every video they hold. Designated UFO, UAP or UFO, citing harm to national security. And yet they're quite easy to talk about. They got new detection of these if released, classified. Okay, so I'm not sure if he's what's this here, but this came out a few days ago, wasn't it? 6 days ago as well. So again, he's written up a thing here on the Black Vault. Since December of 2017, 2 videos that surfaced of alleged UAP sightings captivated the world. Months later, a third was released that only increased public interest in the topic, but also strengthened their voice for transparency. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get disclosure from government. Even though the military said they were not cleared for public dissemination and considered leaked, the Navy later would officially release copies of the same in April of 2020 to satisfy public curiosity and calls for transparency. But how many other videos were there? They've probably got thousands. At the moment, the Black Vault aimed to find out just that. So in April of 2020, the Black Vault began a pursuit to have the US Navy release all of their videos that held a UAP destination. And after nearly 2.5 years, the untold number of videos with that UAP class, classification, have been fully denied due to national security concerns. Why would that be a security thing, though? Unless they're a top secret US craft in those UAP. I don't understand what the problem is. You could remove all sensitive data from these videos like they did with the other releases, right? And not include the radar data, and it's just a video. And it allows us then to see what they're looking at, whether it's balloons, all these high altitude things which are now public knowledge now, so there's no reason to hide them. So could it be some of those that gone wrong and floated downwards? Could well be, right? The story begins on April 28, 2020, when the Black Vaults filed for a case Don Navy 2020 after a bogus rejection, and a new case number, Don Navy 2021, to the Naval Air Systems Command, the same command that officially released the 3 UAP videos. The request was simple. It asked for all videos that were classified UAP, just like the Fleur 1, Gamble and Go Fast videos that they had previously released and labelled as UAP, blah blah blah. It seemed plausible. If there were 3, there were more. Correct? Would deny the request, stating that they found no additional videos. Bullshit. It seems strange they had 3 and only those 3. But other requests had already been filed by the Black Vault to seek out more places. European videos might be hidden, you know what I mean, with Bigelow. Bigelow, who else? Skinwalker Ranch. Other contractors, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, Gabbers said millions of people being abducted against their will. Yeah. Yeah, but they're just mental. Come on, Gabber, they're just all mental. Or sleep paralysis, because that's what we were told for many, many years, remember? People got mental problems and sleep problems. And the Mick going over the top of Eisenhower and allowing this sounds like they used to cover up. I think the government cover up all the time, don't they? Not just in UFOs, but everything. Just speculating, yeah. But anyway, John has noticed that they said bogus stuff, right? So that means they're trying to cover up things by renaming things, as well as changing the numbers and the classifications, and they don't probably call it UAPs anymore. They probably call them something else. Alien technology, ATs maybe. Anyway, he's talking about Congress here. A new case was filed, blah blah blah. He just goes on a wee bit here. The US Task Force has responded back to DSNS 336 and have stated that the request videos contained sensitive information. Well, just remove the sensitive information then. Are classified and exempt from disclosure in the entirety. Well, just give us a wee bit then. like they have already. And no balloon videos, no cool bell crap. We don't want none of that. We want the real deal from the Camera Pods HD video that amateurs like Gabbard Beast TV can do. He can do better videos than the Navy. So what's going on there? And you can bet they got better camera and sensors from Sony than we have. Okay, so the Black Vault has filed an appeal seeking the release of the videos. Yeah, he won't get it though, will he? It won't. What will happen is probably something else will get leaked to Cool Bell, and we'll go through all that hoo-ha again. Okay, so I'll just post the article. No doubt he's going to do a video talking about it. He always does. I find Black Vault is a good researcher, but he can drag things out a lot on one topic. I find he could condense it, but he likes to put all the details in, doesn't he? He likes to be he's a real detail person. So I ain't always skimming his stuff, because there's not enough hours in a day to go through it word by word, is there? The cover-ups serve for a purpose, you mean? Yeah. But we still don't know if it's aliens, or another country, or their own technology, or a mix of all the above, right? And it's always going to be that way, I think, unless home users' technology improves and they capture stuff and bring it to us. That's about the only way we're going to get it, until I have Men in Black knock on the door and shut me down. So yeah, doesn't really matter, alien, UFO, or human. Yeah, we just want to know the answers, don't we? But we still want to know if we're alone in the universe. That's the ultimate goal, really, isn't it? Anyway, we've still got lots of goodies to come. Hang on fire, people. How are we going for time? What we got? Coming up to 2 hours. That's not too bad, is it? So we can slow down a bit, probably, and cover things a bit more now. But I'm a bit worried about copyright, of course, copy claims. And they could bring down this video so no one gets to hear what I talked about today, which I don't want to happen. It's always a problem. What's going on here? Oh, forget about it anyway. Aliens visited you, and you got a video, which we need to get pulled off that hard drive. I think it might be worth spending the money on a real expert to do that in a clean room. They should be able to recover that. Aliens visit my mum many times. Yeah, it's alright saying that, but you got to have the evidence. 10,000 of people say they got an experience. Yeah, but none of them got evidence. That's the problem. Cannot be mass. I don't know. Some people might disagree with you there. That there may be something in our genes of certain people that allows them to have vivid dreams or whatever. Or night terrors. Yeah, I want to play this one because this is really good summary of the cult of Lu. What was the other bits we got? Alright. So, we haven't got any further on that UFO stalker stuff. But this one here, really good thing that I must have missed, was posted in by, is it, what's his name? Greenstreet, what's his name? He presents it. He presents everything about Lu and the inconsistencies throughout the whole years that we've been hearing this stuff on Fox News and whatnot. The UFO lie, shocking truth of Pentagon's ALSAT program. The basement office. What's that guy's name? Greenstreet. What's his first name? But anyway, we'll play bits of it, and it's like a recap from when we first heard about it to how it's sort of changed over the years. Let's just play it.
Media out.
Okay,
program. The advanced aviation
Was Hal Putoff, a former member of. This all seems like it's heading toward aliens. Is there doubt? Aliens, is there doubt? That started years ago.
Okay, so let me just adjust the volume on this one. I will pause it because I have to and talk about it, so that's part of fair use. I'll break it down. And let's just amp up the volume a wee bit on this one. And I will go full screen, maybe, although that could cause a problem. I'll leave caps on.
And one that shows no sign of stopping. A bombshell story said UFOs are real. A whistleblower said the government knows. The military has encountered them. Every day, for years, there are videos and photos.
So I don't like that background music because that's often where copyright comes in. There's no way you can mute the music, unfortunately. The music I find is too loud anyway.
Insiders say off-world vehicles. Congress says we need to know more about the UFO.
Cool about.
A task force created to figure it out. Are they aliens? Is there doubt? A report's released saying maybe it's real. The information comes with an official seal. A UFO office without delusions will look to the skies and find conclusions. The government seems ready for the long haul. And on, the dominoes fall.
I will tell you unequivocally that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
This all seems like it's heading towards an ultimate truth no longer ignored. A revelation, for better or worse, will further define the universe. But the story was too good to be true. The story was wrong.
Disinformation, guys.
And instead of being closer to the truth, we probably couldn't be further away.
Yeah, that's now a maze. A maze of disinformation and UFO channels out there causing problems as well. Hey, Sitans, how's it going? Yes, I talked about you coming on the weekend to talk about your Satan and some of the things we looked at last night. What's up, everybody? You just missed all the good stuff. No, actually, we've got some more good stuff coming up now. Showing how much disinformation is out there. What's up? Sorry, I'm on the road. Okay, that's alright. You can listen in. You don't have to watch. Okay, let's just play this. I know we do get a lot of truckers watching me. They say, I said, oh, how can you watch me? I do a lot of demonstration and bring up graphics and stuff. He says, well, I listen to it on the road, and then when I get home, I then look at the images that you were talking about. And I said, oh, yeah, that's fair enough. So let's just carry on.
For those of you unfamiliar with the current UFO story and the cast of characters within, here's a quick primer based on information that was originally reported.
In
2007, at the behest of Senator Harry Reid, the Pentagon, via the Defense Intelligence Agency, created a UFO program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AATIP. The first director of AATIP was a person whose name wasn't reported and who remained unknown. The next director of AATIP was Luis Elizondo, a counterintelligence official at the Pentagon, who by now has become the face of the whole story.
The key word there is counterintelligence, people, and we wonder why we're no closer to the disclosure. Gabba, I can come on stream and offer my opinion. Yeah, okay. We'll see what happens Sunday then, or that will be your Saturday. I suppose it's 10:30 over there now, is it? Is it 11 PM where you are, Sitans? This is when I normally do my video, but I've been doing it for the last 2 hours. So, we can do a later one, but means it'll get in the way of my dinner time, unfortunately. But we can do 10:30 onwards, 3:30 onwards my time, and I'll postpone dinner. So here they're talking about the money. So there's always money involved in this.
AATIP was funded with $22 million. The Pentagon awarded the $22 million to Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies, or BASS. Bass was contracted to perform AATIP's UFO research and investigation. Bass was founded by
and he was connected to MUFON, wasn't he? As well. Never forget about that. So, MUFON were actually given their information directly to him as well.
And longtime Harry Reid financial supporter Robert Bigelow. Bigelow's been hunting UFOs his whole life. Within the Bass team was Hal Puthoff, a former member of the Church of Scientology, who claims
red flag, Scientology.
to be a psychic who can predict the
psychic, second red flag.
future.
Third red flag, can predict the future. Doesn't that sound like what we heard with McGowan? Lou saying exactly the same BS.
During the Cold War, Puthoff was involved in the CIA's Project Stargate, which attempted to create psychic spies that could use
and he got conned by Yuri Gagarin for bending spoons.
paranormal powers to fight the Russians. Stargate was shut down after not achieving this goal.
Damn.
The rest of the Bass team was largely unknown.
Eric Davis and all those airheads.
AATIP investigated UFOs for 5 years, from 2007 to 2012. In 2012, the Pentagon pulled the program's funding and shut it down, saying it was determined that there were other, higher priority issues that merited funding.
You mean psychic spies is low priority?
Despite losing funding, Luis Elizondo claimed he kept AATIP going for years after this.
Personally funded it all, did he? This is where the part-time business comes in, is it?
Staying on as the program's director. On October 4th, 2017...
How can you keep a program going inside Pentagon? It doesn't make sense to me. So to me, that's another red flag right there in the story, right?
Elizondo resigned from his job at the Pentagon, frustrated that UFOs were not taken...
Hang on. So he's the director of AATIP that was no longer a funded program. They ain't going to care if he resigns from it. So yeah, another red flag. That doesn't make any sense.
seriously by military leaders at the Department of Defense.
That's a fairly easy signature to copy, isn't it? Can't you spell your name properly, Lou? Come on.
Immediately after his resignation, Elizondo, Hal Puthoff, and others took the AATIP UFO story to former Blink-182 rock star Tom
Alright, they took it to an entertainment company.
DeLonge and his To the Stars Academy, or TTSA, a for-profit science and entertainment company. On October 11th, TTSA held a press event featuring
Okay, wasn't it at MUFON as well?
Tom DeLonge, Lou Elizondo, Hal Puthoff, and other former government officials who claimed to have new revelations about UFOs. DeLonge...
Yeah, and they showed lots of fake videos and even claimed that a video with the 1952 UFOs flying over the Capitol was real. And it wasn't, it was a CGI.
introduced Elizondo to the world for the first time.
My name is Lou Elizondo. For nearly the last decade, I ran a sensitive aerospace threat identification program focusing on unidentified aerial technologies. It was in this position I learned that the phenomena is indeed real.
In
He's got a bit of a smirk on his face there, though, hasn't he? I'm not sure if he's telling the truth there. So this comes from New York Post, so hopefully we can actually use it under fair use. Might have to skim some of it, though.
In addition to revealing Elizondo and the Pentagon UFO program, DeLonge also announced that he was going to
build an exotic craft with an energy source that can revolutionize the world.
Hang on. Isn't David Wilcox doing the same thing?
build his own UFO. Another...
You notice how it looked really similar to some of those black projects with the XB-70, you know, with the really pointed nose for preventing sonic boom noises, or reducing it anyway.
Presentation by former DoD official Chris Mellon revealed a shocking new UFO case, and he displayed a large photo of the UFO.
At one point, the object soars to 80,000 feet, hovers, then drops at supersonic speeds, coming to a full stop.
Of course, that's not the video of the Tic Tac, is it?
How did it accomplish these feats?
The UFO in the photo was later reported to just be a blurry party balloon. The mainstream media reaction to this event was couched as cheeky celebrity news, rather than science or national defense. But that was all about to change. On the same day he resigned, members of TTSA had introduced Elizondo to UFO author and longtime UFO researcher Leslie Kean. She interviewed him and published 2 stories in the Huffington Post in mid-October, which revealed in a media exclusive the existence of the Pentagon.
Oh, right, that's, we all remember that now, isn't it?
A UFO program, and Elizondo's role in it. However, these 2 stories were still mostly ignored by the mainstream media.
Oh damn, what are they going to do?
Leslie Kean then reached out to longtime associate and journalist Ralph Blumenthal. Blumenthal pitched the AATIP and Elizondo story to the New York Times.
So they went to a bigger newspaper. Hey, that's what Tyler Klotner did with his. He started off with a low-grade reporter, and eventually all the other newspapers picked up the same bullshit story, and then eventually Fox News put it on, and CNN.
And on December...
Jackpot. Notice he put jackpot here. Hey, we got the New York Times putting it up. Jackpot.
16th, 2017, the New York Times and
Moneymaker now.
Politico released front-page bombshell news stories that revealed the Pentagon's AATIP UFO program to the world.
Not quite, so we just skim a bit here, and then he says, hang on.
Aviation Threat Identification Program. New York Times reports Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Why was there that difference? The amount of sources that both news media outlets had were very, very small and likely the same. So how is it that the reporting was different? As the reporting went on, it got worse. I mean, there were like 7 or 8. I lined them all up with dates and who the media outlet was. And there were like 7 different variations of what AATIP even stood for. And to an investigator or a researcher like myself, and there's a lot.
And we know now that's because the program wasn't called AATIP. AATIP is just an alias of the real program name. And that's why it had aerospace in the name, and that's why they went and got it all wrong. Because someone knew the real program name, and they're thinking it was aerospace or aerial or aviation. Was all confused by the other papers, right?
A lot of other people out there. If you're looking into something, you need to have the name right. Because if you don't have the name right, how are you going to find anything?
Bingo. So that's another thing. By changing the name of it, not knowing which one's the correct one, how would you be able to put FOIA requests in?
Right. Because when you submit a freedom
Okay, that's Greenstreet, isn't it? What's his first name?
of Information Act request, you have to be specific with the government what you're asking for. So if you requested for...
Oh yeah, so there's already inconsistencies in the story, even at that stage. Why? Is the question. So Black Bolt got onto it, remember? And he's the one that... was it George Knapp? Eventually leaked out what the actual program name was.
Absolutely. The accuracy there was incredibly important.
The Pentagon officially acknowledging its Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program.
Pentagon has confirmed the existence of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
The Advanced Aviation
Advanced Aerospace
Aviation. Aerospace.
Aviation. The Advanced Aerial Threat Identification.
Bloody parrots.
Identification program.
So the writing was on the wall that there was something odd just behind the meaning of the acronym.
Another reported detail that is inconsistent was the years all this supposedly occurred. The original New York Times report said the program began in 2007. But further down the same article, they report the funding and actual contract creation of the program wasn't until late 2008.
You start digging in on that and realize that the bid solicitation was never posted for companies to bid on getting the contract, wasn't posted until 2008.
That means then this is how they figured out there's another program before AATIP. What are you saying, Gabba? Lou is Stephen Greer's uncle. Is that true? Can you check my friend's Cigar UFO? If there's time at the end of this live show, else it might have to be another time. Normally I like to get heads up first on Discord, and then we can do a better job of it and not spend so much time wasted trying to analyze it live when we got some stuff pre-made. You see what I mean? Hey, Blue Chicken, how's it going? So, yeah, you've missed all the good stuff. But anyway, we'll just carry on with this report because it's getting interesting. It gets better.
Yet, we were led to believe that AATIP started in 2007.
Created in 2007.
2007.
So, how can you solicit bids a year after the program allegedly started when the reporting said $22 million went to a contractor that started a year before the bid went in? Wait, none of that makes sense.
Adding to the confusion, Politico's reporting released on the same day as the Times, with reportedly the same sources as the Times, says AATIP began in 2009. What? Now, in journalism, dates and names are so basic. You want to get the basic names right. You want to get the basic dates right.
That's right. Okay, so we'll just skip on a bit.
Video of a UFO filmed by the U.S. Navy. The Times reports that AATIP investigated and released this now famous video to the public. Yet the video was shot in 2015. AATIP shut down in 2012. Also, the Department of Defense released a statement saying no, that video had not been cleared for public release. And some in the media wondered how much of this was simply a so-called sweetheart deal between Senator Reid and his longtime friend and financial supporter, Robert Bigelow. Back in 2017, there were a handful of journalists who pointed this out as a potential red flag.
Public records show Bigelow contributed about $20,000 to Reid and his Political Action Committee.
That campaign contributor got research contracts from this program. That just
red flag
is a bad picture.
There are other outstanding questions, confusing statements, and
his name is Stephen Greenstreet.
and blatant errors. But despite all this, the story, mostly as originally reported over 4 years ago, mostly without any corrections or updates or disclaimers, continues.
That's true, because newspapers normally do updates, right, and say, correction, this is actually not the actual name of it, this is actually this.
Used to spread like wildfire, and has become.
So that never happens. It's like getting updates from Secure Team or Third Phase that what they were telling you the day before was actually a CGI video.
Legendary.
Never happens.
So what you're telling
Okay, 60 minutes now.
me is that UFOs are real.
Bill, I think we're beyond that already. I put my entire career on the line because I believe in what I believe in.
He ran the Pentagon.
So, he ran Pentagon's
top secret UFO program.
Yeah, there's a lot of music in this. I hate the music.
There has been a multi-year frenzy of speculation, misinformation, and confusion about the nature of the program. One of the purposes of this book is to correct the record. Co-author Colm Kelleher did an interview saying,
The
New York Times article in December 2017 mistakenly used that acronym AATIP, and they mistakenly assigned Lou Elizondo to be head of this program, and that was a mistake in reporting by the New York Times.
They say many details in the original story were in error. And guess what? There's actually real documented evidence to back that up. And surprisingly, some of these documents have been out in the public domain for years now. It's just that many people, including myself, didn't fully understand what they were or how they related, if at all, to a Pentagon UFO program called AATIP. Probably because they don't mention anything about AATIP and they don't mention UFOs. They mention something else. So I now present to you the mostly untold and underreported story of the Pentagon's OSAP program. In 2008, at the behest of Senator Harry Reid, the Pentagon, through the Defense Intelligence Agency, created a program not called AATIP, but rather the Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program, or OSAP.
Bingo!
We know this because here's the actual official Pentagon document outlining OSAP, not AATIP. The director of OSAP was a Defense Intelligence Agency scientist named James Lakatsky. We know this because here is his name listed on official Pentagon documents as being in charge of the program.
Yeah. So that rules out Lou.
In many ways,
But as you'll see, how Lou gets into the picture.
OSAP started with James Lakatsky. According to both Lakatsky and Senator Reid, Lakatsky had approached the senator to say he believed the UFO phenomena was real, and he wanted a program to investigate not just UFOs, but also how UFOs might fit into the realm of what we might consider the paranormal.
Ooh.
Reid told Lakatsky he would support the creation of a program, but, according to Reid, they faced a challenge: how to convince Congress to allocate taxpayer money to investigate UFOs. Could they create a UFO program without actually mentioning UFOs?
Deception.
Reid told New York Magazine, "I said to Lakatsky, well, if you were me, what would you say to people in power in the United States Senate who have huge control over the spending of defense money?" And here's what Lakatsky said: "What I will do is prepare something for you that anyone can look at that wants to. And it's strictly science." He put it in scientific language, what the study should consist of. Here are the actual OSAP contract objectives. There are no mentions of UFOs at all. To anyone
Very clever.
reading it, it might seem like just a normal aerospace technology contract. The actual objective of the program was essentially, using currently evolving technology trends, predict what kind of aerospace technologies foreign adversaries will have 40 years from now. That's basically it. OSAP appeared to be something normal, that the
Missile
government would
defense.
normally spend money on. OSAP was funded with $22 million. The Pentagon awarded the $22 million to Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies, or BASS.
Which we heard before.
BASS was contracted to perform all of OSAP's technical research and analysis. We know this because here is an actual Pentagon document acknowledging
I'm just zooming that. Advanced Aerospace Weapons System. There you go. Bigelow Aerospace.
BASS as the contract recipient. BASS was founded by millionaire and longtime Harry Reid financial supporter Robert Bigelow. Within the BASS team was Hal Puthoff, who we already briefly discussed, as well as other scientists with a history of unorthodox ideas, including Dr. Colm Kelleher and Dr. Eric Davis, an astrophysicist who's written papers discussing psychic teleportation, time travel through Stargate wormholes,
space-time nut job,
and bending spoons with your mind.
Caught out on that one.
Bass hired a team of 50 people, and then the work on AATIP began. On the surface, AATIP appeared to be an aerospace technology program. To Harry Reid, in his words, AATIP was actually a program to study UFOs and related phenomena. With Bass, however, that so-called related phenomena would take
Skinwalker Ranch
in a shocking and very unexpected direction.
Oh, I got some music. Don't want that.
A lot of AATIP's investigations took place at Skinwalker Ranch, a supposed paranormal hotspot in Utah owned by
Bigelow.
Robert Bigelow.
So, sounds like a money trail, doesn't it?
As outlined in great detail on the record by Lakatsky and Bass leadership, the so-called Pentagon UFO program was not just a UFO program, but rather an investigation into a cornucopia of spooky and scary things, including werewolves, ghosts, and half-dinosaur, half-beaver monsters.
Dino Beavers! There you go.
Literally.
Yeah, we've seen that one on the TV show.
The project manager of the program referred
let me just check something here.
to Skinwalker Ranch as a paranormal Disneyland.
So the idea was to have a living laboratory on Skinwalker Ranch that we could assess what was going on. Unusual creatures, discarnate voices, poltergeist activity. So it was a paranormal Disneyland.
How come we've not heard paranormal voices on the TV show though? You know, EVPs.
And that really started the whole thing off.
Paranormal Disneyland. That's a good name, isn't it?
AATIP spent only 1 year investigating UFOs, ghosts, and goblins before the Pentagon started to pull the plug. In 2009, after reviewing AATIP's reports, the Pentagon states that it was determined the reports were of limited value. In the December 2017 Politico article, a congressional staffer is quoted as saying, "There was really nothing there that we could justify using taxpayer money," and that even Harry Reid agreed it was not worth continuing. The Pentagon
Taxpayers probably be peed off, I'd say, too.
decided not to renew AATIP's funding and shut it down completely by 2012.
So that's the real story so far.
Stating that the program was terminated in 2012 due to lack of real progress and concerns about the viability of the program, and that it was determined that there were other higher priority issues that merited funding.
You mean like homelessness?
James Lakatsky says he spent the next few years trying to get new funding to resurrect the dead program and to keep the paranormal investigations going, but he was unsuccessful. Finally, Lakatsky says he retired in 2016.
And that is the mostly untold story about how $22 million in taxpayer money was spent on a wacky paranormal funhouse. And it appears that at the time, the Pentagon had no idea this silly, spooky stuff was even happening. How is that possible? Well,
yeah, there's not really much UFOs in that, is there?
Lakatsky, the Pentagon director of the program, says that for security reasons, he was hiding AATIP's activities from officials at the Pentagon.
Of course he was.
People in my own office, they didn't know what we were doing. They had no idea that I was running Skinwalker Ranch.
Sounds like the nuclear program too, doesn't it? How would they not have a clue? Though, must have been really clever worded paperwork.
They had no idea whatsoever.
And was Harry Reid aware of the ghosts and goblins? Well, I guess it depends on which version of his story you want to believe. In 2018, in an interview with New York Magazine, Reid denied ever being briefed or updated on any of OSAP's activities.
Liar, liar.
Ever? But then in 2021, Reid told George Knapp that not only was he aware of OSAP's activities at Skinwalker Ranch, but that he was potentially planning to go to the
This goes to show you can't trust anything that comes out of a government mouth, really.
ranch himself.
I remember getting a call from you while you're in the well of the Senate, and you asked about Skinwalker Ranch, whether your staffers should go there and whether they'd be safe. Did you consider sending some of your people to the ranch, and did you ever consider going there yourself?
I considered it, but based on information I got from you and others, I decided not to go.
It would also have drawn attention to the ranch and the program, right? If you went there, you'd have to tell somebody about it.
That's for sure.
And Senator Reid would eventually fully endorse this whole crazy story 2 months before his death by writing the foreword to Lakatsky's book. In it, he calls out the New York Times.
It's funny how people die, though, doesn't it? Was it natural death for this guy? Or was he poisoned? Some special radioactive poison that sort of degrades once it kills the people.
The December 2017 New York Times story has done a tremendous amount of good, but unfortunately, it has also muddied the waters. It left the government's OSAP program completely out of the narrative. Yeah, why wasn't any of this stuff reported in that bombshell 2017 New York Times article?
Exactly. Why didn't they mention it? And they changed it to AATIP and Lou and all that sort of shit.
How did a story about a program called OSAP, which investigated UFOs, werewolves, ghosts, goblins, become a story about a program called AATIP, which only investigated UFOs? Well, Leslie Kean is a longtime UFO believer and UFO researcher, writing UFO stories going back decades. She wrote a best-selling book on UFOs in 2010.
Bingo.
And it was Leslie Kean who
money.
approached Ralph Blumenthal to pitch the big UFO story to the New York Times. She was one of the authors of the New York Times article. In a recent Showtime documentary, Leslie Kean was asked why stories about alleged encounters with alien creatures were not included in her 2017 New York Times article.
Yeah, that seems like a big lift out thing there, isn't it? Right? Oh, you're not allowed to say people were abducted.
And she replied that her specific goal with that article was to give UFOs credibility.
Well, just drop out all the nut job stuff, shall we? And just give you half a story.
She avoided reporting on some things.
I chose not to focus on it because the angle that I was taking in my reporting was to try to get credibility for the subject, and I knew that that was not the way to go.
There you go. Aliens and abductions is not credible, guys. Take it from the word of Leslie Kean.
That was not the first step in terms of getting people to accept this.
So an author of the original New York Times article, the article that was the first domino to fall in all of this, says she wrote the article with a specific angle in mind. Get
agenda.
People to accept
Got agenda.
UFOs as real. That sounds like the goal of an activist, not a journalist. But
Bingo. Not a investigator. Journalist would have to report on everything, not just one part, because the rest of it sounded wacky.
I see where she's coming from. Because could you imagine if that first New York Times article had talked about werewolves and poltergeists and giant
and Bigfoot's flying saucers?
dino beavers?
Dino
it would have been
beavers.
laughed at and ridiculed and
Dino beavers. Got to watch out for them, the ankle biters.
used as a prime example of the government wasting taxpayer money. But because all of that wasn't mentioned, and only unidentified flying objects were, that New York Times article continues to validate.
So guys, have you got a bad taste in your mouth now with Lou and AATIP and all those other talking head bullshitters out there? You can see why UCR is all upset.
Validate UFOs with not just your average citizen, but also with members of Congress.
Since the New York Times story came out December 2017, it's politically viable for elected officials to come forward and say, I support this kind of research. But that's for researching things in the sky that might be a threat to national security or to aviation safety. It's another matter for a politician to say, I agree with spending money to investigate places like Skinwalker Ranch with spooky stories of boogeymen and werewolves. No politician is going to fund poltergeist research.
Yeah, that's fairly obvious. That's the skin us.
Story, 97% wasn't included.
There you go, only 3% was told to us, and that was the big hoo-ha that happened, right? And then some videos came out.
So let's talk about the 3% that was. It was originally reported that the name of the program was AATIP, and it was led by a guy named Lou Elizondo. So first, where the heck did the name AATIP come from? In his book, Program Director James Lakatsky writes, AATIP was a made-up, substitute name to describe OSAP. A made-up name? So he's saying that AATIP
didn't even exist. That AATIP itself was a nickname, and only a nickname, to the OSAP program. So they were the exact same thing. AATIP was just a nickname. OSAP.
Okay, guys. Now it's all starting to fit together, isn't it? And this came out in May this year, this summary of it all being put together. And so, wow, guys, we've been lied to and tricked.
Being the program.
The program was nicknamed Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP. People have had trouble trying to get documents out of the Pentagon by saying they want all documents on AATIP, and they have a hard time because that wasn't actually the name of the program. The top name there is the actual name of the program, but AATIP was...
Yeah, Lou could have come out on this, right? You're right there, 18-wheelers. Lou could have easily come out on any of the podcasts and said all this information that we're hearing in this article here, couldn't he? He could have said, I am the director of AATIP, but it is a made-up program based on a real program, and I run it part-time, and I fund it through donations or whatever out of my own pocket, because the Pentagon don't pay for it. The 22 was paid on the other program. There's all sorts of things they could have told us, you know.
With the nickname that it went by.
And even Harry Reid and the Pentagon have previously agreed with this. Reid stated in an interview that AATIP and OSAP should be considered together. When researcher Roger Glassell asked about the names AATIP and OSAP, a Pentagon spokeswoman replied that they were the same program, and that OSAP was just an alternative name for AATIP. So how did AATIP...
Not really, though, because it was cancelled, and then the AATIP come up after. It's not really the same program at all. It's like another program. But I see it's covering the same things.
It become a nickname for OSAP. Well, remember how Lakatsky said he was hiding OSAP from other officials at the Pentagon? How, according to Lakatsky, they had no idea whatsoever?
So was the name being used back then in paperwork then? That's kind of... I need some paperwork.
About OSAP's activities? In their book, the authors say Senator Reid and those working at Skinwalker Ranch were worried that OSAP's activities would eventually come to light. As such, Senator
So they're worried that they're going to lose money. It's basically it, isn't it?
Reid submitted a request that OSAP be given top secret special access status, which, if approved, would have officially limited how many people had access and control over the program. Here...
But if they release it from Pentagon to Bigelow, it's a private company. Now, FOIA request you can't do on Bigelow, right? Only the government.
Is the Special Access Request Letter submitted by Senator Harry Reid to Deputy Secretary of Defense William Lynn in 2009. But instead of saying AATIP, the actual program name, Reid used the nickname AATIP.
That's where it started.
But Reid's plan to protect AATIP apparently backfired. His request was denied, and his letter was widely distributed within the Pentagon. The cat was out of the bag.
Okay, so AATIP started there then, because everybody was reading the same letter.
Suddenly, the rest of the Pentagon, which had no idea that this program was underway, they had no idea. Suddenly, everyone knows about it, and they start asking questions. Gosh, what if this gets out that we're involved in study of UFOs and ghosts and creatures?
So two things appear to have happened here. One, Reid's letter was the first time many within the Pentagon had even heard about this program, and Reid's letter used the nickname AATIP. So according to those...
So that makes sense. Okay, let's just move on.
A letter that Senator Reid said...
Okay, we're still talking about it. Just moving on a bit.
...appears one time. That's a bit strange, right? One time. At a 2009 dinner...
Yeah, this is
Luis Elizondo, former director of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
Luis Elizondo ran the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program.
The man who ran that secret program, Luis Elizondo, thank you for joining us.
Was he even involved in the official Pentagon program at all? In the 221-page book about the Pentagon UFO program, Elizondo appears one time. That's a bit strange, right?
Yeah.
One time, at a 2009 dinner, sitting at a table with members of OSAP and BASS, where the authors claim he was telling war stories about his psychic powers.
And that sounds like what McGowan was saying.
That's it. Well, Elizondo himself has stated multiple times on the record that he had nothing to do with OSAP, including this emphatic tweet, which says, "It's been brought to my attention that despite my constant assertion in the media about my non-involvement in OSAP, some are under the false impression that I was part of it. For the record, again and again, I was not..."
Okay, so he didn't mention that AATIP is actually a rename of OSAP, and there was another director before that he took over from. That's what he could have said in the tweet and make it really obvious.
Part of OSAP. Elizondo instead says he was in charge of the Pentagon's AATIP program, which I think we've established probably didn't even exist. Insiders say it was not an official program. It was a completely separate small initiative. A small, unofficial effort. Not a program as the P in AATIP suggests, but more in his spare time, when his normal day job allowed, he looked for UFOs. There are two pieces of documentation that further supports this. One is an email from the year 2020, released via the Freedom of Information Act to John Greenwald. In it, Elizondo is challenging the Pentagon press office regarding their statements denying his role with AATIP. Elizondo concedes that his AATIP could be defined more as simply an activity versus an actual program. The second is an annual Pentagon evaluation of Elizondo from the year 2016. It outlines all his officially assigned responsibilities at the Pentagon, none of which have to do with...
And Lou is suing people for saying he's not the director. Well, he's a director of his own made-up company. Own program, I should say, that he does in part-time. I suppose it's true. He wasn't the director of OSAP. The real program.
With UFOs, or anything called AATIP. So with all that in mind, let's look again at the Pentagon's official statement regarding Elizondo.
No assigned
that appears
responsibility.
To be a true statement.
He didn't read it out.
In April 2022, Brian...
He didn't read it out because he didn't want to get sued.
Bender, the author of the original 2017 Politico article, tweeted that he now feels like he was purposely misled by numerous sources on what AATIP really was and wasn't. In response to a Twitter user stating, "Seems clear that they wanted to gloss over the paranormal stuff, which is like where all the money really went." Bender replied, 100%. They buried the origin story because they were afraid it would be perceived as an utter waste of taxpayer money. It would have also further soured the whole effort, given the
So why is this not on Fox News, eh?
Bigelow connection to Harry Reid. It was a pork project to investigate voodoo that morphed into UFOs. And regarding myself and all the Basement Office episodes I've made about AATIP and Elizondo, I was apparently wrong. It wasn't intentional, but in an honest attempt to report the truth about the Pentagon UFO program, I too feel like I was purposely misled.
Disinformation got to the credible reporters. And now they're attacking Greenstreet, saying he's lying. On Twitter, UFO Twitter group.
As for Elizondo, he, along with other former members of Tom DeLonge's To the Stars Academy, have been lobbying Congress to spend more money on UFOs.
So those people that all invested in this Tom DeLonge, kiss your money goodbye. And thank you for helping build Lou's kitchen. And Tom DeLonge's what? Mansion?
They say the original New York Times article continues to influence congressional leaders, since many of the paranormal aspects weren't included in that story.
Damn.
Chris Mellon, the guy who once stood in front of a gigantic photo of a blurry party balloon,
who I thought was probably the most credible one of the whole bunch of DeLonge stuff, is actually part of the disinformation.
Admit.
This shows these guys haven't got a clue what a UFO is because they're putting up fakes and balloon UFOs. Exactly the same as people that watch Tyler Klockner and Third Face have no clue what a UFO is because they believe everything they're being told.
Admits that telling Congress about OSAP would be counterproductive. Their efforts appear to have paid off. Bipartisan congressional leaders like Senators Kristen Gillibrand and Marco Rubio helped create a new UFO program at the Pentagon. The new program is called the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. And another domino falls.
Yeah, so that's what it's all about, guys. Money and creating another program. Because the other one got cancelled. Right? Wow, isn't that is that the red pill or the blue pill? I forgot which one in the Matrix is it. Is it the blue pill you carry on dreaming and the red pill you wake up? So yeah, that was a red pill video. I will share it so you can watch it all again if you want. I sort of had to break it up there a bit and under fair use, but I still might get done over with it, who knows. It is a New York Post after all. But they're sharing his one from the basement, so maybe it's Creative Commons. This hope it is. I didn't actually see, speaking of which, I didn't actually see any copyright message on it, right? Normally click more, and normally it tells you where it can be fairly used. See, they're using sources from lots of other things too, which will be copyrighted. Wesley Keane, Orsap, Skinwalker, Eric Davis. A lot of sources in this. But where's the copyrights? Where's the statements there? Whereabouts do they normally have it there, don't they? Yeah. So all us at home that got our cameras to the sky and inside the houses trying to capture the aliens, we can call ours a non-government funded program. We can make up a big long name for it. PS, Paul Skinner's PSP program. I don't know. Alien program. So PSAP. PSAP. I could call mine PSAP. Who wants to fund me? No one. I got no donations today anyway, but no one ever wants to fund me. How about 18 Wheeler? Do they want to fund 18 Wheeler, who is Satan's on 18 wheels? A truckie. He can do it in his part time. Yeah, you're making lots of money from UFOs, right? No. Beck had a phone call. Okay, you just have to watch it back then, Blue Chicken. I wonder if all these guys sell Amway products. No, I think that's probably a bit more honest than what they're selling at the moment, right? At the moment, they're selling us, I can predict the future. 18-wheelers is going to see a UFO. Hey, I'm going to be right. He's going to see a UFO. Okay, so I better post it down the side here so everybody can watch it again. So yeah, they're all damn liars, or the people that were helping them to promote the lie got hoodwinked by the lie as well and become unknown mules. Okay. The truth about AATIP finally summarized in that nice little video which Robert Farmer had brought to my attention. So I've sent that around to everybody I know. You should do the same. You should send it on all your email lists and say, watch this from start to end. So, yeah. So how are they going to cover this one up? Men in Black suing everybody so they go bankrupt. I don't know how they're going to cover that, because obviously it's still up on YouTube, so they haven't managed to take it down. But I took the risk of playing most of that because I think it needed to be told. But yeah, probably done 3 hours now, haven't I? That's generally what I was hoping to do. But we can talk about other things, I guess. It's coming up to 3 hours now, yeah. Now, that wasn't bad timing. I did speed through a lot of it though. We could have spent a lot longer reading out stuff and all that. Has this chapter 4 come out yet? Because I reckon that would be another eye-opener. I suppose you'd have to look on Twitter, wouldn't you? Let's see, let's just reload that. Does it have side chapters in this? How can we find out part 3? 26-minute read, he reckons. Not with me reading it, is not. How can we go back to chapters? It can be found here, page 1. Okay. There's no index though, is there? Can't see one. Anyway, we've got to keep an eye on it. What's it called? Let's just search on that. See if it's on the search engine even. And you never know how much it's been suppressed, that story. Does it come up? Alien searching for the truth. Yep. The greatest story. No, it hasn't come up, has it? Let's put quotes around it. This is typical Google. There we go. Now it comes up, and we've got 451 results. Really, that should be like millions, shouldn't it? Not many people are going to find it. And then the rest of it's on Twitter. Part 1, Part 2. And we read out Part 3, the last bit, which aligns with what Greenstreet was saying about Lou predicting the future and psychic spy nonsense. Part 1. That's it. That wasn't... It dropped down from 51 results down to 12. So that's another thing with Google. Why does it do that? I was expecting a lot more pages than 2. So he's been suppressed, right? Suppress. And this is not even... comes under another subheading by the looks of it as well. Would extraterrestrial attack Earth? So it comes under another section. There's no part 3. I didn't see part 3. Is that one been lost? Let's have a look. Oh no, part 3, red flags. Part 2. 1,000 hits now, but I bet it's not. Part 3. It reckons there's 5 pages, but let's keep on going. Still there. So everyone's sharing part 3 by the looks of it. That's the most popular page. Part 3. Okay, it seems a lot more of them. Blog, it's gone everywhere. Okay, that's interesting. Now let's try part 4. 0. 0 results. Damn, he hasn't brought it out yet. Oh, we'll keep an eye on that anyway. So yeah, anything else that we want to do? You said there was a video you wanted me to look at. We can have a quick look now. Can you repost it, Gabba? Instead of me trying to scroll up. Do you want to look at the Cigar UFO? Yep, I just said that. Can you repost it? Make it easy. Okay, good. Copy link address. We'll have an initial look at this for maybe next time, but we'll be covering 18-wheeler's strange UFO that he saw. So we've been looking at that on Discord's group that he joined. Right, put studio in front. I don't know why it does that. That's just stupid. Well, I hope you like what I've been doing today anyway, guys. I know I've got less likes today, but that's because we're not looking at actual UFOs today. We're actually looking at behind the scene lies, and there'll be a lot of Lou fans out there that won't believe it, you know. Oh, I thought I deleted it. Let's just try that again. Okay, here we go. So who's the person? Beth. How do you say your last name? No, yes. I'm not sure how you say that. Don't say no, say yes. Smoke cigar in the sky. Let's have a look. Okay, we won't zoom in just yet. Digital zoom, and it's filmed the wrong way again. At least we got some reference points though. I think I can see something there, but I'm not sure. Okay, so this is where people are best to give it to a video analysis guy that will zoom in, enhance, stabilize it, and do all the hard work, unless you're willing to learn all that stuff yourself. These kind of videos are pointless as far as I'm concerned, and they need lots of work on them. Yep. Well, Gabba, that was exciting. Yeah, I feel a bit underwhelmed. She just did an interview about her experience with Arcturian aliens. I'm not sure if that's correctly how you say it. Aliens on board a UFO, very amazing story, but lots of amazing stories. No, yes, is that for real? I like it. Yes. Okay, so guys, we'll zoom in, play it again. We might have to slow it down even. We might have to do some filters on it. Alright, so where are we looking? Smoky cigar, did you say? There's a lot of noise. Here we go. I thought it was there. Yeah, my first gut is it's probably one of those damn solar balloons. White one though. They don't have to be black. It's not moving like very fast, is it? It's not doing anything crazy. And I didn't see much movement in the tree. Let's see. Okay, we've got some movement. So the wind's going left to right. It's not too... it does have to break it all down. Of course, what the wind is at ground level is not what it can be at 1,000 feet, of course. So we got the tree here. Let's see. Which way do you think it's... It looks like left to right. Although it's not really a heavy wind. There is some wind there. Let's see if there's some sound with it. Because normally if you got wind, right, it's in the microphone.
Yeah, it's just moving like a light.
If there's lots of wind, you'd expect to hear that noise in the microphone all the time. Is she filming it through a window?
It just looks like a wispy...
So, she either behind a window, or the wind's not that strong.
cloud moving.
Is it a window she's filming through? Or a balcony? Can we find any other clues?
That was cool.
Yeah. See, you can see me, I'm not actually looking at the UFO, I'm looking at other things in the video, right? I'm looking for deception. I can hear a goose or duck in the background. Whack, 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 I heard. What's that noise? Ah, could it be a row of geese in the sky? Because I heard the geese.
I think it's just like a worm.
Did you hear that or not? I could turn it up even more. Did you hear the geese? I'm really a bit suspect on this one, Gabba. Maximum volume. Here we go. See if we can hear the geese. You need a headset probably. Did you hear it? I hate these geese.
The
It's
thing
a
looks
flock
just
of
like
geese.
a worm. There's nothing in front of it, and it's moving.
It's a line of geese. That's what it is. Do we get single lines? I think you do, and then they eventually form. Let's see. I can hear geese. What was the date on that? Migration, April. Okay, I can't remember what it was now. When do geese migrate? April! May or early June. Migration flights usually begin at dusk. Okay, what time of day is it? Does she say? Have we got any timestamps on this? Looks amazing, Bev. See, none of these are going to be real video analysis, guys. It's pretty cool. Never seen one like that before. Awesome capture. Yeah, the audio gave it away, I'm afraid. What the hell? Anyone else said about geese? Geese? Come on. Awesome. 4th of July. Migration of geese. Okay. Let's see. Geese and a line night. Let's have a look. Geese fly at night when the air is calmer. And you can see there's a gentle breeze there. Okay, let's just... And there's a line of geese. So they do form lines, and then eventually form V shapes. Like that. A line of geese. 2 lines of geese. Well, 4 lines. I just want to see if there's any other ones. Oh, here we go. Flying in a straight line in the air. That one's a bit of a mess. That one's starting to form a V shape. Here we go. That one's a strange one. Look at this one. I just heard a Canadian goose fly by. That's a really strange one, isn't it? Not even a V shape. Here we are, another straight line, is it? Oh no. So I guess what happens is they take off together and they start forming the formation, right? So they start off with one line and then the other ones tack on. Probably need to watch some videos of geese, I think. Yeah, it's definitely a single line there, right? White ones. They could reflect the moonlight or street lights, right? I know there's Canadian geese. There, those ones there, and that. Whereabouts is she located? Have we got a area? So she, this is a problem I find with liars in ufology, right? You get these alien abductee accounts giving you strange names of aliens, right? Which has not happened to me in my contact, anything like that. They're attention seekers, right? And they go outside, start filming everything and thinking that everything's a UFO. The ones that do have experiences, or ones that are even faking to try and con people along. don't know where she is at. There's no information, right? No date, time, location, direction they're looking. Gabba TV's there. I wanted to see what type of geese they might have in the area. Yeah, there's a straight line almost. Just type in straight line. Oh, I hate that stupid thing. Okay, geese. Now we could probably do analysis on it, enhance it and whatnot. Well, there's a straight line. Straight line on the ground, straight line in the water. And definitely white geese. Moonlight. White. I was hoping for some nighttime images. I guess it depends how high up they are, whether they're dark or white. Anyway, let's just go back to it again. I think the geese, because you can hear them as they're right overhead. A dog can hear the geese, you see. Look, he's got a dog there.
That thing looks just like a worm. There's nothing in front of it and it's moving.
Yep. Well, it's a bit hard to tell if it's moving because we've got no reference point. There we go, there, a tree.
Can you see that? It's just moving like a light.
That could be geese way
It
up.
just looks like a wispy cloud moving.
Camera's just barely picking it up.
That was cool.
Yeah, she's not telling the truth. Okay.
Worm. There's nothing in front of it and it's...
Can we cut it? Let's cut it and enhance it. Actually, we probably could first of all try that filter. Maybe invert it.
Moving.
There we go, that's better.
Can you see that? It's just moving like a light.
It looks like it's bending too, doesn't it?
It looks like a wispy cloud moving.
It's like a squiggle. And look, you can see another object there, a star. Is it? Or is that another duck? I mean, a goose.
That was cool.
Oh no, that's got to be a star, isn't it? So it's moving downwards. So I reckon she has some geese fly overhead, and this other one was moving towards her. Yeah, it isn't. That's not a solid. It's not solid.
That thing looks just like a worm. There's nothing in front of it and it's moving.
If only these people had good cameras.
Can you see that? It's just moving like a light.
Alright, so Let's just reset that again. So that makes a hell of a difference, that add-on, doesn't it? Need to do that cutout thing, but yeah, I'm just trying to work out where it is there, because I won't be able to see it. So is there anything else we're missing in the video? Definitely looks like dusk to me, but we ain't got no timestamp. Where's my thing gone? Alright, it's got some ad on it. Changes the icon when it's got an ad. It says new across the top. Let's see, select area. Okay, whereabouts was it? Here somewhere. Did I get it? It doesn't line up properly anymore. I don't know if I can zoom in and do it, but we'll give it a try. There it is there. You can see how bad it is. See, if it's got white geese, it's not going to reflect much light off them, so it makes sense. Did I get it? I don't know. It's not the best way. The add-on's a bit faulty. Let's have a look at those ones. Where's the cross gone? All these new problems we got. Yeah, have I got folder open? Nope. I have to drag it across. So, what's on the list? Cigar UFO, a line of geese, solar tube balloon. Nothing else it really could be, is it? Could be a blimp that's reflecting off underneath. I guess that could be number 4. Could be a contrail, a little bit of contrail behind a plane that's moving along is also another possibility. So the geese noise might be a red heron. So you can see where I'm thinking. I haven't concluded it's geese, but that's my suspicion. But a airplane that's moving across the sky with a short contrail, and that's the ice crystals are being reflected off the moonlight, and that's what you're seeing. And of course it's going to be whispery, shimmering outside too, the contrail, and it fades away very quickly. It won't expand into a V shape like we're used to seeing. It's very possible that it is a plane, and this is where you need to use the apps when you do these filming. So you can exclude a plane straight away at 50,000 feet. So let's just have a quick look through what we got here and see how closely it matches. So be funny. I don't think we'd ever see a plane in front of it, because you know the contrails are like as big as the width of the plane wings, and then it gets bigger and bigger, doesn't it? I just don't think you would see the plane at all, not in low light. So did I manage to get it? Don't see it anywhere there. Is it that one there? Maybe we just got it on the edge. Let's try the other one. Did I get it on that one? Oh, actually, I can just drag it. And say open. Let's have a look at that one. Yeah, did I manage to get it? I know I did cut around it, but it's off course. Can't see it at all there. Bugger. Yeah, I think it's on the other one though, just on the edge. It's here, down here. There. Let me just see. No. Let's see. There we go. I think that's it. Does look like a contrail, really. Geese to me, but let's run it through some filters. There we go. And that's just the brightness. Yeah, it doesn't look like a Cigar UFO. She said smoky, didn't she, in the video? Smoky is what you describe a contrail as, though. What did she call it? Smoked cigar. You see what I mean? I think we're looking at a plain contrail. I think the geese was a misleading one. Short, plain contrail. Night. Let's see if Google can help us out here. Okay, here we go. And these are double, but there's a couple of single ones here. And it looks very much like that there, doesn't it? There we go. That one there. Fireball, contrail, those ones were planes, remember? Looks very much like what she's getting. They're all long ones though. So I guess Google. Oh, here we go. There's we go. That's the one. Look, looks just like yours. So for there's just a wee bit more light there. And can we see the plane in that one? No. You know it's going to be 1 pixel big compared to the rest of it. And you can see, is that, if we had a video of that, I don't know if we have. You can see it just moves along like that in the sky, right? This is why you got to have your mind always set in the middle and follow what evidence, or wind direction, the sounds, and you know a lot of these fake YouTube channels always turn off the sound so you don't get any clues from it. Video. I'll just catch up in the side comments, see what you're saying. You know, when I get focused on this stuff, I sort of go to town on it. Gabba, take a look at my video and see if the shape matches. I think it's Gabba geese. No, I've changed my mind, you know. There you go. I've changed my mind in the analysis as we went through it. But you just add it onto the list, you know. It's still on the list as a possibility, but it could be geese. What's all this you're posting, Gabba? What's all this? Timestamp. You're posting a lot of stuff there. They fly into a chevron pattern. Yeah, well, they start off in a straight line. I've seen them in New Zealand as a straight line as they come off the lake or the river. And then you see another line of geese, and they team up with them. And they end up with this V shape. It's just that I have never filmed it because I didn't have camera, but I have seen it with my own eyes. So it's just a matter of finding. Blue chicken. Blue chicken geese. There we go. It's all solved now. Check out the video. I have labeled Astro Train. Is that a straight line? Is that geese? Or is it a short plane contrail? 18 because I know you say you're an expert on it. But, you know, even I got caught out in the early days on this stuff. These could be geese in her backyard. Yes, it could be. That's why I think maybe she's got a pond maybe next to her, and that's just a red heron in this case. But it's in the right month for migration, right? So, we can't rule it out. Alright, she's in Minnesota. Is that how you say that? Minnesota? So did you look up whether there's geese migrating in that location? Minnesota. So this is live research, live debunk, you know, guys. Come on. You gotta bear with me. This is how we learn. And bingo. And we've got white-bellied geese. 8 species, there you go. In Minnesota. Is that how you spell it? Alright, single T they got. There you go, 8 species. Let's see how many of them are white. White underbellies, is it? Canadian goose, yep. And they're white and brown. Canadian geese. We would definitely know they migrate because they're in America from Canada, and then they fly back. There we go, and they got migration charts. There we go. All over the bloody place. Breeding. Non-breeding. Year round. Okay, so in the middle there. Any more pictures? Oh, here we go. Lots of white ones. Blue morph. White morph. How they get off these strange names. And the migration of those ones. Pretty much all over America and Canada. Breeding all over the place. Migration. Okay, migration is a light. So that's migration. Okay, and the blue one is non-breeding. So where's the breeding? Oh, way up in Canada. Okay, so that's the white ones. Snow goose. Okay, I wonder why it's called snow goose. Could it be white? Ross's goose. Another white one. And yeah, there it all was. Okay, so it could be geese. We can't rule out geese at this stage. Videos or short plane contrails? Have we got any? Can't use that. It's probably copyrighted. Winter. Why do airplane contrails form? Okay, we're not interested in that. You know, it's ice crystals. The hot engine causes a trigger in the atmospherics to form ice crystals as it cools down rapidly again. Why planes leave streaks? Stunning sunset. Yeah, we can never find what we're after. Has that one got a small contrail? Not really. Astro Bob. What's that there? Pilots. No. I don't think I find the example straight off. Sort of thing you have to prepare for, so you don't waste too much time. A lot of plane contrails there. It's probably fabricated one though. First thing to notice about this contrail is it's all the same colour. Okay, is it a short one? It's not going to play. Alright. That's that one that looks like a fireball. But that one is short too, but it's wide. Alright. Here's some short ones, is it? Oh, this is one that's broken up. And then it goes to a short one here. Can we play it safely? I don't know. Here we go. So it's flying a drone, is it? Well, you can see one disappearing here. And one up here, look. It's a short one, you see that? It never ever grows longer. Oh, that one is actually. Oh no, then it fades again, look. Grows longer, then boom. Loses it. It's not the best one though. There's got to be something out there. Just have to keep looking. But yeah, we do know they exist because we've seen them on lots of UFO channel talking about Cigar UFOs. And they're just contrails. That are making and then disappearing, just like clouds form and disappear, right? Very quickly. Because they're ice crystals and water droplets. Yeah, what we need is a UFO channel that films contrails all the time. And we could use something from it. I have to give up. I have to give up. What's the time? How are we going for time? Yeah, it's getting late, isn't it? It's nearing dinner time. Okay, we'll just give up on that. I gotta wrap up soon. So, what was I going to do? I forgot now. Video. Okay, so that was just brightening. You can see the difference that makes just alone. Flip who. And we got two color regions. So over here is black. Up here should be white. There we go. See, we start to see details that the camera picked up because a lot of the information in the colors we only saw it as a streak, right? But there's actually various shades coming off that. And you can see the pixels there too. I'd say it's a contrail, because you can see it's getting thicker, right? And it was moving downwards, remember? So I think it was moving downwards, or was it? Downwards. I would have expected the cone shape to be the other way then. Hang on. Unless it's not expanding. Starts off big and then deteriorates. Let's see. RGB. Try RGB. Okay. There we go. I had the blue before. There we go. So we can see other clouds. Can't see any plane. I think it is, like she says, smoky contrail. I suppose it's not really tapering. I think that might be a cloud there. But it's certainly not Cigar UFO. Would you say that was a Cigar UFO now, guys? I say BS. It's not a Cigar UFO. It's not even a solar tube balloon, right? Remember, solar tube balloons are would be very defined edges, right? That looks more like a puff of smoke, like she said in the video. So, what was I going to look up? Solar tube balloon. Anyway, we haven't got too much time left, guys. So another day. So solar tube balloons, there's videos of them which we've played before. But here's some still images. See, that would be more defined in the sky. And we'd see the bend. Oh, like that one. But you get the little short ones that can keep nice solid shape, like this one here. The smaller ones instead of the big ones. You can buy them from AliExpress. There you go, shorter one. It definitely didn't look like that in the enhancement. Oh, like that on there, that bends. So I can rule out solar tube balloon on the list. Cigar UFO on the list. Geese can't quite rule out. And contrail now goes to the top of the list. Okay. So we are done. As far as I'm concerned, we shouldn't be able to do any more now. We'll just leave it for another day. Okay. Although I should have used that for fun now, shouldn't I? Oh well, I'll probably figure out something to add to the fun after. So let's just catch up on side one. Okay, we got a lot of comments there. Who's talking the most? Oh, I just got a cramp in my leg because I stretched the wrong way. Has it passed? I could see the missing Mist being dispersed outside around the crust. What are we talking about here? Your stuff will have to be left to the weekend, 18. No idea. That one I recorded. Astro Train. We could have a quick look at it, I suppose. Astro Train. Is it one I've seen already? Cigar UFO with holographic smoky cloud. Come on, Gabba, you're starting to sound like one of those UFO grifters now. You know, they keep making excuses for debunking it, right? Come on, it's just a plane and a contract. UFOs ain't going to release a load of mist just to pretend to be a plane with a contract. Come on. Sorry, I'm inappropriate. What you doing, Blue Chicken? I won't read out your comments, Dan, just in case you're being bad. Sir, it looks like a giant. Oh no, that sounds like the Mike Myers movie, whatever it is. What's that called? I can't remember. People are seeing objects and seek like-minded to share. That's the problem. You know, they need to go to someone that's not pre-programmed, and I'm trying not to be programmed myself and always follow the facts, you know, follow what's on the video. You don't just naturally assume, oh, right, she said it's a Cigar UFO. Although it's pre-programmed to think it's a craft. In this case, it totally wasn't. The grey aliens have glow sticks. I think they might have glow-in-the-dark clothing, though. Using biological. It's a holographic UFO. Gabba, shut up. So where's this 18 train one? I can't quite see it in the list. These guys just talk and talk and talk. Here we go. Is that the one? No. Gabba, what did you post? Was that to the 18-wheeler one? Let me just... Or was that the other one we're looking at? I don't know. Let's load it up. And just wrap up quickly. Let's have a quick look. Which one's that one? Oh shit, studio again. I really hate Google when it does stupid things like this. Don't tell me. Is that the one? Astro Train. Yeah, so let's have a look. It's not going to be a plane with short control, is it? Because I will be disappointed. Unless you're saying it is, and as a debunk, which would be cool if you did. Okay, can't quite see anything yet. Was there meant to be something there? Because I can't see it again. Do we have to use the crazy filters on it? Oh, no. That's you moving. Keep it still. Are you just looking for something to happen, are you? See, I'd edit that out, probably. And maybe include it on the end of the video, saying here's the full video. Go straight to it. What time thing does it start at? I think you guys said, didn't you? 1036, what's that? 1036 and this? So it's a long way away then. Or was that the time that's local time? I'm not sure now, because I was talking about time zones. 1021. Oh, I'm moving again. Oh, here we go. Let's load down where planes would be. Just zoom in on it. And that one's more defined, you see, and this one's definitely not a contrail. But you can see it's illuminating the cloud cover there. So what is it? That looks like it could be a tube with a light source in it, though. It's kind of strange. So that's a better video than the last one. I'll give you credit, but that needs a wee bit of editing on it. Could that be some crazy solar? Let's have a look. Helium. So we talked about at the beginning of the show these stratosphere balloons they're using. Makes sense that they might even have cigar shaped ones, right? Not just the oval ones. Helium balloon, lead balloon, this balloon tube. Let's see what comes up. Anything there? I don't know what's on the market. Right, here's something. Inflatable helium balloon. There you go, guys. Could it be something like that? That someone's just towing along? Whereabouts were you located there? See, this is other information now we need to look into. Was it near a lake where someone was fishing at night time? This is the sort of thing they use on construction sites too. Were you near a construction site? And they may have been moving it. DUI balloon light. There you go. Someone's made this one up with rubbish bags. So it could be something like that. It could be a fishing balloon. It could be something like that there that's got a light in it. Advertising. So it could be something like that. So it doesn't have to be alien. It could also be one of these Black Ops balloons that we talked about earlier on the episode. There's another one which is vertical, but that's not floating. There's another one there. Could it be something like that that's escaped from a wedding? And it's just floating along the sky, you know, till the battery runs out. Sky balloon, sky light balloon, they call it. Anyway, that goes on the list with that one. But yeah, good capture. That is something unusual, and it's not one of the usual things of geese or contrail. So we can bring that one up next time if you want. We'll see how we go. We've got probably 3 or 4 hours we can kill. Then I have dinner after. So I arranged that with you on Discord. So let's just have a quick look at the comments again, and then let's wrap up, guys. Is 18 Wheelers still there? Yes, there he is. What did you say? I have a second recording of it with the cell phone. Okay. So we can look at that another time. It does not move like a balloon. I'm not sure what you mean by that. If it's being towed by a boat or construction yard, RV or whatever they use. even waters. That was cool. I won't have a problem finding this one. Okay, it looks like I did find it. 1036, yeah, okay, we've got that. The light was on the bottom side of the craft. It was stainless steel in colour. But if you had a look at that other one, it was also in the bottom half, and the top half was like a blue, I think. So I'm guessing you can get silver coloured ones as well. You just have to go back and scroll back and have a look, or have a search yourself anyway. Sent that drawing to Paul in Discord. What drawing are we talking about? I haven't even looked at Discord because I got it muted. Let's have a quick look. Oh, you mean previously, not today? Oh no, here we go. Yeah, I liked it. What's this one? No, that's me. Helicopter one. Okay. Am I missing something? Do you mean another day or today? Sometimes Discord doesn't update. I'll have to restart it. Alright, it's got a new message here. Artwork. Gabba TV. Gabba Beast TV. Okay, we're not interested in artwork at the moment. Is there anything else? Nope. I can't see anything there. 18 Wheels has a cool drawing about it. Are you talking about your model thing that we're going to talk about in the weekend? We'll go over that in the weekend. So, reptilian lizard people, Cigar UFO. Yeah, I reckon they should do some anal probing with some Australian guy. What do you reckon? I think... this cell phone of Astro. No, not the model. Oh, I didn't actually see it there, Blue Chicken. Maybe I have to close down Discord and restart it. I didn't see anything from you. Yeah. Tell that to the Chinese lady. Yeah. Okay, guys. Been a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it anyway. And we'll see how many copyright claims I get. As long as we can keep it live. They can limit it what countries it's shown in. I probably might have to mute out most of the show today just to keep it live. Unless I upload it elsewhere. We'll see what happens. I hope Greenstreet is okay with this channel. I hope he is, because we're on his side. We're on the right side, the real truth in ufology. In fact, he probably like a lot of stuff, the videos that we're looking at here, and we got a couple of real good ones, and we might even be getting more, from 18 Wells here. He's got some good captures by the sounds of it. So, I'm just going to say goodnight and take care on the roads. And I'm not sure when the next one's going to be, but it could easily be the weekend. Good night all. It depends how much stuff I come across. Like I said to 18 Wheelers last night, I was in a lot of pain. And I said, I need to get a break from this stuff. I need a holiday. But anyway, good night all, and I will get my control panel up if it will come up. It's in the wrong place, and kick off the end credits. Here we go. There's always stuff to do in this field. It's never ending. You can always find lots of new, fresh content to talk about too. Good night, Aussie friends. Good night, American friends. And did we have some UK US today? I'm not sure. Might be a bit too early in the morning over there. And where's all the Kiwis? I want to know where's all the Kiwi fans. And we didn't get Stoner Girl, she's a Kiwi, and we didn't get JD. He's busy working, unfortunately. We had a dropout there. Men in Black didn't like what we were doing today. Remember that weird dropout we had? I tell you, whenever we get onto really dodgy topics, something always goes wrong.